The walls of time are breaking down. You need to listen. The only way to save the universe. Watch Type 40.
Time for Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who show kicking off another week in the Whoniverse with the live stream Doctor Who magazine show materializing here on YouTube, Rumble and Facebook, whichever platform, time stream or time zone you're joining us from. Welcome back. Yes, this is Type 40 Live up on your screen in real time with a show, a packed show, a show right on the brink, aren't we? An exciting week, the week after what we thought we were never going to get. And it's all happening here in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Type 40 Live. This is where we talk about the world's longest running, best loved sci-fi and fantasy TV series and the whole Whoniverse around it, both on and off screen, in the 60th anniversary year of the series itself, with that all-important, all-new era beginning after this mammoth wait, heavens above. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and we'll find out who you are in a couple of minutes and what you've got to say, what they've got to say, what I've got to say about everything out there. Will it be Happy Chris? Or will it be Grumpy Chris? We'll find out over the next couple of hours here on this latest Type 40 Live event show. Big event this time. Okay, yes, so out there in the Whoniverse, we have been waiting, haven't we, with bated breath and clenched buttocks, but it's here. I think it's lurking, it's arrived, it's in the building. I think we can safely say on Saturday the 23rd of September, all of us got an extended look at these long-awaited 3 specials to air at some point in November to mark Doctor Who's 60th anniversary. And now here with us on this live stream edition of Type 40 Live, we're reviewing that trailer, the trailer that's got everybody talking. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? And we want your comments too out there in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble and Facebook as always. I've got a panel to bring on. Of course I have. One by one, and we're going to check their excitement levels, see how they're faring after 48 hours, is it? Yeah, just over 48 hours since this trailer dropped, as they say. And we've got the console room ready because we're all glued to the screen to sort of watch over it all again. And maybe between us, we can hone in on anything that we might have missed individually. First of all, who have I got? Yeah, oh, she's here. She's looking very summery, even though the weather is slightly changing. I admire the spirit of starry-eyed girl, Sarah Graham.
Hello, Dan. Hello, everybody. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm back to full health, everybody.
Hey!
And I'm smiley, so yeah. So I'm making an effort.
Making an effort. No, you look absolutely lovely. Have you had a good weekend? Because you weren't too well the other week, were you?
No. Yeah, I had a brilliant weekend. I went to a family function on Saturday night, so I actually missed the trailer going out live. And then I had a message from Shaw saying, "Have you watched it yet?" So I had to sneak off to the ladies and get it on YouTube and watch it.
Oh yeah,
It's very classy.
Lock the cubicle, turn on the old phone, and hold on to your phone very tightly as well. You don't want to drop in between your legs and down the
Well, I
pan.
didn't know. I didn't go in the cubicle. I don't want to put that image. God, no. Let's not go there. Let's not start that. No.
You've lowered the tone already, Sarah. It's disgraceful. Charlotte, what am I going to do with this one? It's definitely her, isn't it? It's definitely her.
Why did you give him that sort of open goal?
I know. I just give him this ammo. And just.
You could have just said, I sneaked off and watched it. Yeah, you didn't.
I'm British. You mentioned the lavatory. Yeah. Let's get all these gags filling up in my head. Heavens above. Heaven knows where this is going to go. Charlotte, how about you? Been locked in any toilets this weekend?
No, I can't say I have been. I've had an afternoon staring at a screen with Excel, so actually I was quite looking forward to chatting tonight and having a bit of fun with everybody.
She said was, Sarah?
Oh, no,
I didn't realise.
Then she arrives. It all changes. It all changes, doesn't it? Very, very quickly. Yeah, we're going to get stuck into it all, aren't we? 2.5 minutes worth of brand new Doctor Who we got the other evening, and with us now we've sent out a few links to people as they're floating around the time streams and in their various time zones to see who takes up the mantle, responds to the call, and we've got, it looks like a Time Lord himself, tucked away in the nerd den again. Back for more. It's Jack.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, the Doctor is here. I'm loving that.
Have you been dressed like that since Saturday?
Sadly not, but let me tell you, as soon as I had the opportunity to, I got in the outfit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so let's have a proper look at you then, mate. You've come as the 14th Doctor. Wow.
Yeah, I have. So this is the get-up. This is the... I haven't got the trousers on. I've only got the standard jeans. But,
well, yeah, I wonder where that sentence is going.
Yeah, I just had to clarify. Yes, I am wearing jeans. I'm not going commando or anything. But,
you do what the newsreaders used to do, just dress from the waist up.
Yeah.
Don't blame you. Yeah. So, if I was to guess, then, I mean, I'm not trying to blow the gaff on how any of us have received this trailer so far, but the fact that Jack hasn't burnt that cosplay in the last 48 hours would seem to suggest to me that perhaps Jack is erring more on the side of happy Chris, not so much grumpy Chris. So, well, who knows?
I'm a very happy Chris. Obviously, I'll go into it as we go on, but. I was jumping for joy, let me tell you. Whew. Oh, yeah, finally getting something.
I'll say that when the hours were sort of crunching down to us getting this brand new trailer, and after all the false starts we've had over this year, getting excited and then let down, excited, then let down, I thought, well, how much of it are we going to get? I thought, well, the most that we could hope for, Charlotte, I would have thought would be about 1.25 minutes. And so when I saw the video, because I didn't see it on the BBC, I saw it online and saw the runtime at 2.5 minutes. I couldn't believe it. It was practically like Christmas Day. And that was before it hit play.
Well, I can remember I was chatting with Garbage, and the first thing he said to me on Messenger was, "Oh, it's long." And that was the first thing he said.
Yeah, I was surprised about the length of it. But then again, if you compare it to like a Marvel movie trailer, that's kind of the common runtime for these trailers now. So that might be a thing moving forward, hopefully.
Good point, yeah.
It's funny you should say that, Jack, because I do believe that the trailer that we got over this weekend, I mean, regardless of what we've said recently about the timing of it, how it's been driving us all slightly mad, I did get the impression, funnily enough, that this was probably what they intended us to get at Comic-Con back in the summer. It was packaged in a similar way, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And it's I don't really know how to describe it, but it's kind of, it's a trailer that you could imagine being shown to audiences because there would be, some big reveals like, Kate Lethbridge-Stewart coming back and, some scenes to get people talking. And,
it's the way it's paced.
Yeah, it is paced really well like that. And yeah, it's very, like you could imagine that being played on a big screen for sure.
Yeah, it was very Disney-fied, so that would make sense that it was aimed at that Comic-Con audience. I think that is a really
Or
And
maybe
also
it was
having that sort of like almost preview before the actual trailer did make me also think of Comic-Con, because that seems to be a thing they do at Comic-Con as well. Quick shots, couple of shots, and then we're going to give you the full thing.
It reminds me of when I watch vintage episodes of stuff like Columbo, American stuff that was made in the 70s and the 80s, and they always give you a big chunk of the plot before the actual episode starts. I can't stand that. I end up like switching the TV off or putting my fingers in my ears or something like that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think those the exact beats that it was hitting, and perhaps better late than never. But we're always going to get to see this. But I am very conscious of the fact that we do feel like we're stuck in a bit of a time warp, and we're getting things now quicker than we have over the last 18 months. Hopefully they're going to follow through on it. I mean, I've been I don't say captivated by the social media campaign, but that seems international as well. They've been very on the ball with this. So we've had these various memes and things all across social media, probably since about Thursday or Friday. They really stepped up. And this whole thing with the Subwave network that's attached to Instagram. Now, I'm terrible with Instagram. We're on it, Type 40's on it, but I can't figure out how to use this, to access this, let alone if there's anything good about it or exclusive about it. But I suppose the idea is quite novel, isn't it? So they put out this little video here of a signal beaming out to us all there, Sarah. Are you on Instagram at the moment? Have you seen this?
No, I used to be on, but no, I got bored with it. There's too many platforms.
There are too many, aren't there?
But yeah, but it is. And the beautiful thing is, whenever anything happens, it gets posted to Twitter and Facebook or X.
Anyway,
all the other places, so I still get to see it, and it is. But yeah, the whole Subwave network thing it is a lovely callback. I do like to see
novel.
it.
Novel idea, very novel idea, I think. But for most of us, I suppose, and this is the important thing to remember, isn't it, Charlotte? With something as mainstream as Doctor Who was and could be again, it was geared around Strictly Come Dancing. So this is the BBC's flagship entertainment show, still, isn't it, after about 15 years?
Yeah, the amount of press, and you can see that the BBC doesn't put a lot of the machine behind its shows nowadays, like it used to. Strictly definitely still has that machine behind it of promotion and the news talking about it, like the BBC News and everything.
It's the one show that, for the people who are interested in it, is still that live appointment to view event, isn't it? And I suppose just like the European Song Contest back earlier in the year, it's a captive audience to flash them things that you want to get their attention, shiny new things.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and also it's the last sort of thing left that they've got for Saturday night, that sort of like traditional sit down, everybody can watch it family audience. That's what Strictly has. Yeah. And that's I think that's what we've all said. Doctor Who should be aiming to recapture. That's the audience it should, ideally, maybe not internationally, maybe more in the UK, it should have that audience of that I said, that from kids to grannies to adults, that should be what it's aiming for.
Everybody grab them, make them sit down and watch, Jack, grab their attention and hold them there for 60 minutes at once. That's it's not exactly, for people who work in television, it shouldn't be that much of a arcane art. It should be relatively easy, you would think. And yet, increasingly in the 21st century, retaining an audience seems harder than ever, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And like you see it all the time, especially with stuff like Netflix, the way they constantly cancel shows. And it makes you think as well, like, especially with Doctor Who, especially before this new era, like, it was in a rough spot. Viewership was declining, despite people trying to say, that's not the be all and end all. But despite the change in the television atmosphere, it still does show that if people aren't tuning in,
it is still very important. Yeah, anybody who says that it isn't is living in cloud cuckoo land. It's there are other things that are in the mix now that didn't exist before, but the metric that those who work in television, our TV industry insiders, people like Simon who are on the show will tell you that, because they live and work in that environment, so they have those conversations with people behind closed doors. It's without a doubt.
The biggest problem for Doctor Who is just because it hasn't been bloody on for so very long. If it's not there everything's so, quick. It's got to be in the mind's eye all the time. If it's not visible, it doesn't. exist, out of sight, out of mind. And that has really suffered these past few years.
Early
And like we
signs,
said,
everybody. Early signs are good. We've got...
It's like you had those 5 years plus it felt longer. And then you also had what we said, this weird gap of no current Doctor going into the 60th, nothing really on telly about it, nothing talking about it. So it's had like a really prolonged, if you really think about it, Star, I said, not being in the mind's eye at all, let alone the fan eye, really.
Because we as fans, we know what's going on, don't we? We know that David Tennant was back attached to it, Jack. But the person in the street, even if they did see, even if they were one of the very few people who saw The Power of the Doctor last year or caught it, they will have forgotten. You can forgive them for having forgotten in 11 and a half months, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. And, and don't get me wrong, I think I mentioned this last time, that, Russell was kind of left in a bit of like an awkward, mess to kind of pick up things, because Jodie had left. All of the cast from that era had gone. Shooty, who he chose to be the next incarnation, wasn't available to do the role just then, I'm guessing. So what's he going to do? Oh, yeah, he's got to bring back David Tennant, obviously, the cash cow he is, because, he does sell. Obviously... Then you've just got to think, okay, what can we do with this anniversary that hasn't been done before as well? It
does seem very clear that this, what we're witnessing now, would not have happened without the involvement of David Tennant and Catherine Tate. And certainly, as I said, early signs are very, very strong. So comparing these metrics, this has been sent to me today, this afternoon, in fact. So up on YouTube, this is where these trailers get most of their views now, because it's all international on everybody's device, any device you've got, tablet, smartphone, whatever else. So just comparing this brand new official trailer in just 2 days compared to just some random other trailer, just off the top of my head. So we will compare those two stats. We can see that this was earlier on this morning. So in a day and a half, this brand new official trailer for Doctor Who's 60th anniversary had got 1 million views. Now, a few hours later, so at around tea time, UK tea time today, it was up to 1.2 million views. Heaven knows we're now a couple of hours on from that. It could be still climbing. It's dwarfing the figures of previous trailers. So we had 1.1 million views on the teaser trailer from a couple of weeks ago. And there was 3.1 million on the teaser trailer that was on at Christmas, if you remember, that minute's worth they dropped on Christmas Day. So it's looking to be out to outstat them, to dwarf them in its potential reach, which has got to be a good sign. Obviously, it's twice as long, but I can't think there'd be many people who stopped a 2.5-minute trailer halfway through to divide the stats there on that. So I think this is a very strong showing. I've watched it several times already. I think we probably all have. How many times have you watched it so far then, Charlotte?
I've watched it twice. I watched it on the day, and then I watched it like the day afterwards.
That's very restrained of you. How about you, Sarah?
Oh God, I think about 10 times. Well, what happened was obviously I couldn't hear it properly, so I had to watch it again. And then I showed it the kids. And then, because it was a family thing, so my nephews and nieces were there who watched that era at the time. So then I had to go round and show it them. And the response was that, because, they're in the 19, 22 and 24 they are now. And they were like, I didn't even know they were back. Oh, this looks, Donna's in it. And, we'll get into that. And it was just, I went, when's it on? Well, I don't know yet, Connor. Well, we'll get to that as well.
Here we go again.
We think we know. So it was nice to, watch the reaction with other people and get that buzzer back. That yes, it's coming back after all this time.
And it does seem that the footage that we got in that trailer was a mix again of clips, imagery, and lines from all 3 of these 60th anniversary specials. I'm going to term it as a mini series. I think it's pretty clear that's what this is. They're all connected Obviously, they're all written by the same guy, Russell T Davies, but it would seem to me that they run in and out of one another. Even if they have already, it would appear, got their own sort of flavours, because I think there's different directors attached to all three of them too. So the Star Beast is Special 1, then Wild Blue Yonder is Special 2, and the trilogy is finished off with The Giggle, which is Special 3. We believe that The Giggle, it was you that said this last time, wasn't it, Jack? That title may be subject to change.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of intrigue there. Who knows? Who knows where it's going to go, and if there is a further title yet to be revealed. Maybe the fact that there's 2 titles for one of them is why some fans are convinced that there are 4 specials after all. I don't know. So yes, we're going to have a deep dive on this new trailer here on this edition of Type 40 Live, and we want your comments too over in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, and in our Type 40 Facebook group there too. Hello, everybody on Facebook. Remember, everybody on Facebook, hit that blue link. Tell Facebook who you are so Facebook can tell StreamYard and StreamYard can tell us, and we can all get on Face.
I'm not saying anything.
All get on first name terms for this deep dive discussion on the brand new trailer. Let's go and see who's in the live chat already and what they've got to say.
Welcome to Type 40.
Oh, I didn't say hello to Charlotte. How rude. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I said hello to Dan and Jack. Okay. Oh, that's terrible.
She's so excited already. Fortunately for us, Crimply and Doubloon is here with an ahoy shipmates for absolutely everybody. Fantastic. Wendology's here too. Yes, there she is. There's the Department of Wendology. Hello all, Sadako24.
Hello.
Hail everyone from Lord Thoth.
Hail.
It's one from you as well, Sarah. And one from Dinosaurs, Demons and Demons. Hi, Osgood. This is me, Bruin Guy. Happy to be here.
He said, yes, he's one of my Twitter followers. So hello, sweetheart. And yes, he calls me Osgood. So.
I wondered why it was Osgood.
Now. Can we we have to call this person Triple D. That's Triple D. Hello, fam. A proper trailer, and it was good, says Mark Milford. He's in there right away with his view. Shah, heaven knows where the TARDIS is at the moment, lost out there in space and time, but she's able to make contact with us here in the live chat. Says, evening, guys and gals.
Hello,
You've heard the grim details already, Shah. You get the general gist of it in fine form and fine voice. Peter Harrington's here too. And so is who else? Yeah, Peter Harrington, Sadako. Michael's in as well. Hello, everyone from Michael. Hello, Michael. The Michael. I like that. Keep it simple, Michael. Keep it simple. Retro Doc Gary Akers too. He's back.
Hi, Gary.
And
Hi,
so
Gary.
is the Tiny Time Lord, Cooper.
Hi, Cooper.
Hello, Cooper.
Good to have you in the live chat there, mate. Yes, make yourself comfortable and add your thoughts. Can't wait to find out what you think of it all.
You look. I hope that's you in your picture. That looks like a lovely little picture.
Oh, the pictures this young man shares on social media, just fantastic. Expert cosplay. Wendy's got another one of those. Now, somebody explain to me what that icon was, and I've forgotten already. Sarah, what is it?
I can't remember.
We guessed Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
Simon.
I think so.
No,
Simon last
the
week.
emoji that she's using.
Oh, the emoji. It's popcorn, I think.
Oh, it's popcorn. Oh. I keep thinking it's a Chinese takeaway, Jack.
Oh, wait.
Anthony Berriman is there with a hello all.
Hi, Tony.
So's Richard Brooks. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And the smiley faces. There's emojis. There's lots more of that. Oh my gods. And hello, Mr. Dan, says Michael. Hello yourself, Mr. Michael. Hello from Ada McGear in his Mrs. Doubtfire voice. Hello. Yeah.
So one of us has to do the voice.
Yeah.
It was a drive-by fruiting. That's my favourite line from Mrs. Doubtfire. Just in case anybody was wondering, what my favourite line from Mrs. Doubtfire was. The Darren Zone's into. Hello there.
Hi, Darren. You've survived the cats.
The Darren Zone, yeah. And Dalias is here too. Hello. Hello. Met a Whovian with a nice and simple hello. Very restrained, respectful. And lots more of that. She always looks lovely, says Dinosaurs, Divas and Demons. I think that might be for you there, Sarah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Marvelous stuff. Okay, yeah, keep the comments coming. We want to know what you think of it all as well, what you reckon about all of this that we're going to get stuck into on this edition of Type 40 Live. All the different teases that we've got for what's to come in those 3 specials. Russell T Davies, he's full of it as always. He was publicising this on social media with this simple tagline. He says, "Their time has come. Stand by for Whovember." Are you all stood by, Jack?
Yeah, well, I'm sat right now, but yeah.
But he does warn us that Whovember is copyright Russell T Davies.
Oh, okay, well, thanks for the heads up there, Russell. You know what, though? The mention of Whovember makes me hope that we're going to get something else aside from the specials. Like, that we get some other announcements. Like, I mean, I'm going to throw one out here. The animated reconstruction of the original Celestial Toymaker episode would go down a treat for me.
It would, wouldn't it? It'd be timed to perfection as well. That would be fantastic. I think a major part of a massive part, of the New Who audience is active on Instagram, says Dalius. Instagram is now the most used social media platform, I understand. It's more than Facebook.
Wow. Oh, that's quite interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Maybe because it's picture driven, and so you obviously haven't got to you don't have to add a caption if you don't want to. Sometimes you let the picture speak for itself. Maybe, Sarah. I don't know really.
Maybe everyone's just vain and shallow.
It could be that too.
Sarah, young people being vain.
I know. It's not just young people. No, but have you noticed though, especially on Twitter and Facebook, if you do a post, if you add an image or a GIF, it always does a lot better than if you're just doing text. So yeah, there is something in that visual. So yeah, I'm not surprised really.
Dahlia says, "I feel it's done a good job at keeping fans' attention over the past 2 years." I think in context, I don't know. I think Doctor Who fans are very, very patient and very, very loyal. That's the way I view it. I think because the production was closed down, the previous production team, they were allegedly all fired. So it was needs must. And so Russell, I suppose, has been very front-facing with this. There's been secrecy, but there's not been secrecy in other respects. So I think things could have been worse, is what I'm stating. But I think for the general public, the fans maybe, Doctor Who fans, we hold hard on this franchise, and it takes a lot to stamp out the flames of our belief in it and our support for it. But the general public are the all-important faction of this, aren't they? And that there's considerably more millions of them than there are of us to be won over. And I'd like to think that they are waiting with bated breath for what's to come too, if they've seen that trailer that we're going to talk about on this edition of the show. I'd like to think that they're thinking, okay, we just need to know when exactly when can we see this stuff. So yeah, keep those comments coming. We'd love to know what you think of it all too as we make our way through this trailer review this time. Leave us the comments. Well, don't listen to me, listen to him.
Greetings, I am K9. If you have an inquiry and Siri or Alexa cannot help, maybe I can. Have you ever wondered if time travel is possible? Or what can a sonic screwdriver do? I may have the answers. Please leave your questions in the comments below.
Yes, and if you'd like to hear more from us and see more from us, just a reminder that our Type 40 podcasts are up across all major podcatchers or at our home feed at type40.podbean.com. The very latest one this week is a big interview and preview with a new Doctor Who fan film that has been filming for a little while now. Very exciting new project, Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. And myself and Ian, we spent a couple of hours chatting with Philip Roy, the man behind this project, he's even been in Doctor Who himself. So yeah, you can get that in your ears on the podcatcher of your choice, or the video edition is up here on the Type 40 channel too, along with our other event shows. So recently we've reviewed all 3 of these huge multi-doctor stories from times and eras past, the 5 Doctors and the 3 Doctors. And just a couple of weeks ago, we went very, very deep dive on the Day of the Doctor. You can find that and those on the playlist too here on the channel to get stuck into. And we do it all for the same reasons that I'd like to think the new production team are making all new Doctor Who, all for the love of Doctor Who. Let's get this out of the way, shall we? Because there was one no-show in this trailer, wasn't there, Charlotte?
Yeah, there was one that I think a lot of us, even if it was just a very quick flash of an image, we would have loved to have seen.
Yeah.
Wilf.
Yeah, I was not happy, Charlotte. I was not happy. All I wanted was Cribbins and a date. That's all I wanted, Russell.
Yeah, even just like his voice, I think we would have been happy with.
Yeah.
Just something.
Could it be, Jack, that the best things are always the things that we have to wait for? Is that?
Well, yeah, I've been told that on several occasions. You know, best things come to people that wait. But technically, right, and I don't know if I'm reading into this too much, but there is a little snippet in the trailer. I do think Wilf is actually in it, but he's just actually out of shot.
That's interesting.
I'll have to try and find it. It's the one where it's focusing on the giggle. I do think he is literally just under the camera shot.
Well, when we make our way through right now, maybe it'll jog your memory about where you think you may have spotted him. Of course, the last time we saw the Doctor, he'd emerged, hadn't he, from the flames with a brand new, kind of familiar costume, but a new variation of it. Stood there on that cliffside as David Tennant, the much loved actor who played the 10th incarnation of the Doctor, was regenerated back as a 14th. And this absolutely set fandom and the general mainstream media very much alight. This was talked about a lot, even by the not we. And all this time on, we get something to follow it up. And I'd like to think, that million and counting, that views, that's going to just keep going and keep going. Obviously, I suppose it's partly on us and the fandom too to point people at it and get them to watch it, and hopefully get bums on seats in front of the TV come whenever it's gonna drop in November. But this image and this fresh start for the show, obviously it's not safe yet. The show isn't safe yet, and everything kind of hinges on this trailer. Let us know what you think of it all. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. More live streams and podcasts as we make our way. We count down the weeks to the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who in 8 weeks' time. So it is very nearly there. And we've got lots more comments and everything else too. And just keep chipping in with what you think and your observations about all these moments that we've clocked and all that fantastic dialogue that we got tucked away in between the score, the music of Murray Gold, and everything else in this special trailer. Yes, so Doctor Who obviously came back to TV screens in 2005, and within a year we'd got a brand new leading man, hadn't we, Sarah? You know, that kind of turmoil. The Doctor Who fan base has become sort of used to rolling with various punches, haven't we? But generally speaking, it was quite plain sailing for a very long period of time, partly due to the huge appeal of David Tennant and his various co-stars. They chose very, very well, or should I say Russell T Davies chose very well, and went with his instincts, I feel. So pairing him in the Christmas 2006 Christmas special with Catherine Tate, who at the time was a hugely popular figure with her own shows on the BBC, wasn't she? And between them, they have managed, I think, over the intervening years, when people look back on the RTD era as was, this is the pairing that often gets mentioned in the same breath, doesn't it, as the Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane, or the Third Doctor and Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything just worked. And they've both got charisma, they've both got that chemistry, but also because they were just mates. I mean, as much as I love the RTD era, it did get bogged down in the romance and the relationships, and particularly Martha, she got a raw deal, bless her. Whereas with this, we were back to basics, and and there was that kind of traditional, doctor and companion pairing. And again, I mean, Donna, she's just so relatable. She's an every woman, always unsure of herself at first and making mistakes, and she obviously gets braver and braver until turn left, where she does that remarkable sacrifice, and her ending is so tragic. So of course it had to be Donna who came back in this 60th anniversary. I think that was only right. We had Billy for the 50th. I do think it was right for Catherine Tate to return.
It's telling, isn't it, Charlotte, that they announced David Tennant and Catherine Tate were returning to the show very much as a pair, didn't they? They didn't announce David one day and Catherine a few days later. They announced them both, and there they were on those publicity pictures back to back, like a dream team.
Yeah, because I agree with what Sarah was saying. That bond, I think Russell, in majority of his doctors and companions, did a good bond, but it seemed to be so much more real with these two. And I think that was the combination of the writing and the actors. And I think really Catherine and Donna as a character, like I said a couple of weeks ago about Tegan, it's such a hard thing to do, a companion writing and acting who can be a bit mouthy and a bit in your face and a little bit more challenging to the Doctor. But I think with Donna, whenever she did do it, you actually fully understood why she was doing it. And then a lot of the time, she was actually right. So that helped, that you didn't feel like she was just henpecking all the time. And I just think her being that voice to stop him now and again, especially when Tennant could get quite cocky at times, his Doctor, and quite sure of himself. He needed somebody who wasn't going to be a bit too romantic to stop him with Rose, or Martha, who was that sort of unrequited love thing that Charlotte, they tried.
Is it that she was right, or is it that she was the most human of all of those people? And that's nothing against any of the things that Billy or Freema did. I love them both, the characters and the actresses. But this character, were her decisions or her reactions very easy to relate to, even if we knew that she was being unreasonable, obtuse, or just plain gobby. We could see why she'd got to the place she'd got to.
I think what it was, like all the moments when I think about Donna, like those powerful moments, like the fires of Pompeii, like with the Ood, it's because it was always related back to something very, like the humanity in her and the sort of seeing injustice or seeing death and saying, no, we can change this, we can do something better. And I think that's what Donna shined about, that on the surface, you wouldn't think she'd be so caring, but actually underneath, I think she was probably one of the most caring companions Russell wrote, because it was always, like I said, you don't have to leave them to die, the Pompeii, or like the youth saying how they need to be free, they shouldn't be slaves. So it was always connected to something incredibly emotional and very humanistic, and the sort of something that we would also fight for. And I think Russell did that very much on purpose.
Although Donna wasn't middle-aged, she was that little bit older, wasn't she, Jack? Yeah. So I'm not saying this is something Russell deliberately strove for with the character, but did that mean that perhaps that the 10th Doctor and Donna were more like equals than the Doctor had as a companion in quite a long time? On a same sort of level, even though, for example, when the Doctor was travelling with Romana, them both being Time Lords, put them on a certain level, didn't it, where they could talk, and they weren't so much at cross terms because they were products of the same society. I suppose they've been through the same academy, and obviously Donna hasn't got that, but she has got a more rounded view, and she's less, even though she wants to travel with the Doctor, she's not perhaps as easily impressed by alien worlds and landscapes as perhaps some of the others were, and she does come at it from a slightly more mature viewpoint. which obviously she's not as ancient as the Doctor, but do you think that provided a kind of a closer to a peership for the Doctor? Not that he respected her more, but it was a very different kind of relationship.
Yeah, it definitely was like a different type of relationship, especially compared to Rose and Martha. Especially, I think personally, a lot of it comes down to the family unit in the RTD era, because with Rose, you had Rose and her mother living on the estate, but her mother was very caring towards her and loved her to pieces. And same with Martha's family. You know, Martha's family were very protective over her, whereas with Donna's family, Wilf was, very caring and loving towards her, and kind of worshipped the ground she walked on. Whereas her own mother, she was very distant with her, and kind of treated her really harshly as well at times. And I think as well, Donna, whilst not always easily being impressed, she did want to, just get out there. She wanted to, make something for herself. And I think the Doctor kind of enjoyed that, that she was just raring to go at the opportunity to travel, especially at the end of Partners in Crime, which was a good episode as well, that really highlighted their friendship.
Fantastic stuff. Michael says Donna wasn't impressed and in awe of the Doctor. No, I think that's true. I think it was a different kind of respect she'd got for him. That was what I picked up from it. And although they did have, there was a playful side to their relationship, and I think that shows in this trailer as well. I think they try to recapture that too. There is something of a purer respect and friendship that we get than we got with the two previous characters, simply because of how they were conceived and the way that those characters sort of developed. And although I know that Russell T Davies originally he'd got in mind another character to pick up, hadn't he, instead of bringing back Donna for series 4. But I suppose if you've got somebody like Catherine Tate who wants to continue to be associated with it, then why wouldn't he sort of rework that to bring this person back? And in the time in between, she's made a joke of the fact that she never really understood half of the time what she was doing in Doctor Who. But I suppose the strength of the scripts, and this is something that we know a lot of fans do complain about, that sometimes they get too kitchen sink and too down to earth. But I suppose for an actress like Catherine Tate, if she doesn't necessarily understand which are monsters and which are robots and all that kind of thing, if she's presented with a script which has very human stakes and scenes that she can play and emotions that she can recognize, then why wouldn't she want to come back, particularly if she's having a good time? So to bring these two back to the show and to re-evoke a time when it was tremendously popular, then I can see exactly, I think you're right, Sarah, to do this. It feels untapped, whereas other dynamics have perhaps been a little bit played out. I mean, right from the afternoon that Russell T Davies announced he was returning to the show, which is over 2 years ago now. Incredible, really. Here on Type 40 Live, we followed every development in the whole process to Bad Wolf Studios getting this thing up on screen and retrieving the whole brand from the car crash of the last production team and the cast and everything that happened there. So we've broken many exclusives and we've sat here and aired our wildest fun theories, I suppose, and brought you a true mix of honest opinions as we've sort of weighed it all up. It's been fun. And it's been very, very frustrating, but it has been lots of fun. So here we are on the threshold, not just of the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, but this whole new era. And so when a trailer like this finally drops, particularly after all these months just waiting for anything being breadcrumbed, Sarah, it's weird to have something to really get your teeth stuck into. I almost felt like when I hit play on this, I couldn't quite believe that I was actually watching and getting something that was substantial. I mean, you can't please all the people all the time.
No, especially not Doctor Who fans.
Yeah. I think anybody who works on Doctor Who's probably more also aware of that. But here you're going to get at least what we all thought, warts and all. And I imagine we all had our wish lists of things, people that we wished to see, and beats that we wanted it to hit. But again, it's important to remember there are 180 minutes worth of Doctor Who coming our way in a few weeks' time. This is just 2.5 minutes worth. The stakes are really, really high, anniversary or not. This trailer simply must put Doctor Who back in the field of vision of the viewing public who left it behind for one reason or another. So we're going to get some of the moments up on screen now and see if we can clock things that we might have missed the first time. going a little bit forensic on it. So it picks up. We get the London skyline here. With Tower Bridge and various other sites. I think you can pick out certain landmarks. I can see Canary Wharf off in the distance. Even this is, we've seen this shot before though, haven't we? It looks very, very glossy. It looks like it could be out of a Richard Curtis movie or something, Jack.
Yeah, it certainly does. And yeah, it does look beautiful though. And I'm just trying to look actually, like, because I'm meant to be going to London myself in a month's time. See, I might even try and get some little photos there by Canary Wharf.
Yeah. When I see it framed like this, obviously through the production process, Sarah, the film it gets there. They adjust the contrast, don't they, to make it look more filmic.
Yeah,
and to make it look, I suppose, like an idealized version of a city, don't they? Because this is a fantasy show we're watching at the end of the day, isn't it? It's not EastEnders.
absolutely. And the cinematography throughout the trailer looks fabulous. You can see they've splashed the cash, and it is lovely to see, because you're already getting that feel of what's to come, how things are going to look. So this for me, I thought, wow, this looks good. I mean, I'm still cautious because obviously the first Chibnall series did look good for all its problems.
It did.
The cinematography did look good, so I'm not. It's going to take more than that to convince me. But yeah, so far looking good. And again, it's just having the a cheeky shot of Canary Wharf and the Shard, or these landmarks that we've seen in previous episodes. It's just lovely to see.
And from that down to Earthry, to Camden, this is the location, all that location work that we saw being filmed well over it's nearly a year and a half ago now, Sean. We saw them out on location filming this. And I think that we've even seen this image before it was we have, haven't we? So in some respects it does feel a little old hat. And I think that some of the trailers that we've had in the meantime, the one at Eurovision, they may as well not have even bothered with that, because seeing all the images out of context, it was like being thrown a McDonald's when you want a 4-course meal. You're hungry. Yeah. You're hungry again almost immediately. Whereas here in context, seeing it all, but the contrast between the gleamingness of the London skyline and this sort of the cobbled pavement there at Camden, and that slightly more old world look to it. Do you think that's deliberate? Do you think that's part of trying to evoke a fantasy version of London?
I think it is, because Russell was always very good actually at aerial shots, whether it was Doctor Who or Torchwood. That's actually the ones I remember a lot of, because it was always a lovely way he would start the episodes and set the story a bit. And it had that same vibe of you'd see all the lights, and then you go down, and Torchwood almost had that sort of dirt, grimier, more down-to-earth feeling with the story. So he was always very good at using sort of these shots to tell stories a little bit and vibes. And I think even this shot, I've always thought it has a tiny bit of that sort of fantastical, just with the lights, having those little lights by the TARDIS and then the brick. There's lots of nice little touches here.
It's beautifully framed, isn't it? Peter Harrington says it looks sort of Christmassy. Yeah. And I suppose it does. Yeah. This is what it reminds me of a Richard Curtis movie, Sarah.
It does. It's actually, that's what it is. That's what we should call it.
Yeah. So I'm a sucker for all this, but this is just to set the scene. Of course it is. It's when we see the characters. That's what really gets you, isn't it, in the feels, as they say, because we have a real bond with all of the Doctors, obviously, but the companions too. Seeing David Tennant back in character as the Doctor, he's unmistakable. Obviously, this is one of the best known faces on TV, and I suppose we all know the kind of beats that Tennant can hit. I think I really, really rate him as an actor. Yeah. Anybody who can play a serial killer in one production and then 3 months later he's playing a foster parent or whatever it is in another show. This man, he is versatile, but I think he's versatile in the productions that he takes, rather than the sort of the roles that he plays, I suppose. There are certain David Tennant style parts, but he's so charming and he was so successful in this role, Jack. I believe that only really Tom Baker has been as successful as David Tennant. It's them for me. And so seeing him back in character here on the streets of London, and I think this must be his first meeting with Donna Noble there. I think she's behind those boxes. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I do think that is going to be from their first meeting. I do remember there was a fan that put something on YouTube where there was a compilation of some of the trailer footage we had already and some public filming, and he does help this woman with the boxes, and then when he realizes it's Donna, he's like, oh wait, and then he puts the boxes back on the pile and tries to walk away. And then he gets more confused when he hears the name Rose being called out by Donna. And you hear the iconic, what? And then, yeah, that's my impression there.
But there's no harm in, you could say that's the same old shtick, but this is an anniversary. It's important to remember this is an anniversary special, isn't it? And so to offer us versions of the character that we instantly know, and to remind us why we liked them all those years ago, Sarah. You know, if they've got catchphrases, it's just the same as the way they dress. The character has to be recognizable to instantly evoke those memories to get us on the page as quick as possible, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I mean, we'll lap this up anyway, but I think it's especially important, for the normies, the general public. That's what is associated with, and they've always done it, with the anniversary and the 5 Doctors, you've redecorated, I don't like it, it's these riffs that keep coming up, and I think it's absolutely fine for an anniversary
to boil the character down, because they want us up to speed, so we're going to be carried away by the adventure. Never mind Camden. Mark Milford says, we need a quarry. Where is the quarry?
Yes, we do.
Sorry, Mark.
There was a bit of running up and down corridors in this trailer, I was pleased to say, but we haven't got a quarry yet that I'm aware of. I can't believe there's not going to be some quarry in there somewhere along the way. Donna Noble, we get a full shot of her, don't we, as she stares into the middle distance. Well, she's talking to her mother by the looks of things, but she's also thinking, isn't she, about something that she can't quite remember. And we get this line, sometimes I think there's something missing, like I had something lovely and it's gone. I lie in bed thinking, what have I lost? These are great lines. I mean, they're great for trailers. They're great for trailers, aren't they, Charlotte? Yeah. Again, I know these are lines that we've heard before, but because they are, we get more before and after, that we get reaction shots in this trailer. So it gives us more flavour of the mood of the story that's going to be told.
Yeah, and I think my little bit of thing that I'm just like, how on earth are they going to deal with it, is the obvious thing that I think is a lot more actually dealt head on in this trailer is Donna can't remember the Doctor. Yeah. If we're following off from that series 4 ending, she cannot have any memory because she will die. That's what we got told. And it's sort of retold again to sort of, I think, on purpose to say, we're not going to forget about that. Like, it's not going to be a plot point that we're just going to brush under the rug.
No.
Because I think rightfully so, a lot of fans, that moment is so important. And like, it's such that, I know some fans didn't like it, but for me, when I first watched that finale of series 4, I was in absolute bits, because for me, it was like, they've actually done it. They've had a companion have quite a proper tragic end, because Rose, they tried to make it tragic, but she still had a family. She was safe. Yeah. She even got a doctor. So it wasn't really... With Martha, she sort of her own accord, which was sad, but not tragic, I would say, she walked away. Whereas with Donna, it was a death almost. It was, I think, the closest New Who has ever got to killing off a companion. And they remind us of that.
They remind us of that in this trailer, though, don't they? Give us flashes of that. The Doctor staring into his own soul almost there in the TARDIS. And he says, I've got this friend, Donna Noble. I had to wipe her memory to save her life. If she remembers me, she will die. So we get that run through again as well, because could be people out there who haven't seen these episodes in 15 years or maybe a little bit longer. So there's an economy in this, which I appreciate. And I gather that the Doctor does seem to be telling this, not just sort of thinking out loud, but it does seem like he's telling it to this character. So the actress's name is Ruth Madeley, and she's playing somebody called Shirley Ann Bingham. Rumour is that she could be working at Unit. Have you heard anything about this character, Joe?
Yes, I did, and I'm very intrigued by this character as well, because it does look like the character of Shirley might have some involvement past the 60th, going into Series 14.
Oh.
And there's been some talks of this longly rumoured Unit spin-off as well, and people are trying to decide, okay, which characters are going to be appearing in that if it ends up being fact. And I do think, the character of Shirley would definitely be a returning star for sure.
I've never seen the actress in anything that I know of. I know she's done some Big Finish work, so some fans were really familiar with her, but I've never heard of her. And so and this character, I know very little about it. I mean, obviously, I know that she's in it. I know the character's name, but I do know some things about these specials. But there are other details which I've heard so many rumours of that you're never really sure. You're not really sure what to believe.
Yeah.
Or so I'm happy to meet these new characters and sort of and be not exactly spoiler free, Sarah, because I'm happy with knowing characters' names and things like that. And this, for me, this trailer didn't spoil anything. But it's when you hear 3 or 4 different versions about what could be, you think, oh well, you can throw a dart at the board and you could hit one of these. It's I don't know about you, but when I hear rumours too, a lot of the time I forget them by the time the show's actually on.
well, there's that many, and especially during silly season, you just don't know what to believe, do you? But she seems an intriguing character. Obviously she's got to be, pivotal to the plot, because the Doctor's not just going to explain all that to some rando on the street. But also she's wearing orange, so of course she's coming back. Everybody, orange is season 15's big colour, apparently.
Well, favourite colour.
He wouldn't just explain this to some rando, but for all we know, she's actually leaning out of the door of some kebab hut. Flipping a burger or something like that. We don't really know. It could be anything. It could be absolutely anything. We've got a comment here from Dalius in the live chat, who, going back to the scene we saw earlier on of the unseen female carrying a load of boxes there. Yeah. And it says that this could continue the gag that Donna always misses the action. Yeah. And the more I think about it, the more I think that Dalius may be onto something there, because we do see this streak of light, this explosion, and what we believe to be a crashing spaceship moving across the sky, don't we? So I suppose if Donna is carrying those boxes whilst this is happening, it could very well be a return to that thing. So what events did she miss out on during her original run, Sarah? Remind us of the things that Donna was asleep or hungover for.
She missed the Sycorax, she missed the Autons, she missed Canary Wharf of the Daleks.
I was going to say, she missed the whole Cybermen invading.
No, I think Dalius is probably onto something there. But of course, I'm pretty certain that is the crashing spaceship that will bring Beep the Meep to planet Earth. But because it's very similar, isn't it, to the scenes that we saw in that original comic strip all the way back in 1979, illustrated by the master Dave Gibbons there. Incredible comic artwork and a seminal Doctor Who comic book story, if ever there was one. And obviously to adapt something that's so well loved, if not as widely known as an episode of a populist TV show like Doctor Who, that's a bold thing to do, to adapt probably the biggest, well, the most successful and the most lauded of Doctor Who comics runs throughout the last 60 years. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm tempted to reread it, but then again, I'm thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't, just in case, just in case one or the other version of it doesn't stand up so well. I love this shot too. We got the Doctor. He's looking through a letterbox. This reminds me of the very first episode of New Who, where with the Ninth Doctor, Jack, when he was peering through the letterbox at Rosie's flat. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I absolutely love that episode. And again, it's a perfect jumping on point for Doctor Who. Definitely.
It's perfect. It's very Russell T Davies era, I suppose. And I mean, the way I see it, this I don't know about you, Jack. I can't speak for everybody, but certainly on this show, a common thing that we've returned to has been how alive the show seemed to be then, and how inventive it was, how much fun it was, how much fun they seemed to be having when they were making it. And little shots like this, I know this isn't breaking any new ground, new cinematic territory, but it is fun. It does feel like Doctor Who, I think, when you see stuff like that, as does this. I would imagine, Sarah, that you were in bits when you saw the 14th Doctor getting a slap in the fizzog by. Now I'm not sure if Donna's mum ever slapped the 10th Doctor. But if she didn't,
no, I don't think she. I think she wanted to. I don't think she.
Oh yes, she wanted to.
Because Francine and Jackie, they both did, didn't they? They took a proper running jump at him, didn't they? And what does he say? What does the Doctor say when this happens? Something like we're back to normal.
Yeah, but
Here we go again. Was it, Jack?
Yeah, something like that.
One of my favourite things at the end of time is Sylvia trying to cover up that the Doctor's been. Are you shouting at the air? Yes, I am. I can't wait to see that. And I think she's a brilliant character, and I love how she grew. Because in series 4, like many fans, I hated her. I was like, stop being so hard on your daughter, Sylvia. But yeah, and then obviously, she's grown, and again, it's going to be lovely to see, what the relationship is like now. Now they're older, and Donna's got children.
Dahlia speculates that Sylvia's been waiting all this time to give the Doctor a good old slap. Charlotte, what do you think?
I think she has, because from my memory as well, he was not very kind to her when he left. He actually had a go at her because of how she treated Donna. And I just think that whole, the slapping moment, the moment we get of Donna coming in shouting, it just has this utter vibe of just chaos. Utter chaos. Everything's going on at once, and it just feels like the Doctor just really much. Another, I think, on purpose, another callback a bit to Rose, in that idea of the Doctor just arrives and just brings utter madness in this family, and they're not expecting it. But you've got the added thing, of course, Sylvia and maybe Wilf. We don't know, but they know why he can't be there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got that added bit of it, and then you've got Donna just being like, what on earth is going on? So it's a clever thing, because I think that's why I actually think the family scenes are going to be really interesting, because you'll have those two layers constantly going on of the family knowing stuff, but Donna not, and having to sort of have this secret constantly be kept under wraps as long as they can do.
Rachel Talalay directed this one, and we've got a comment here from Aidan McGear who says, Talalay tier cinematography. Glad Doctor Who looks like a TV show again and not a fan film. I think Doctor Who looks like Doctor Who again, Jack. I think that's like I said about the scene with the letterbox there, evoking the scene with the cat flappers. People in the live chat, it was a cat flap, it was a cat flap, it was a cat flap. You know what I'm saying. You knew the scene that I was talking about. But it looks like Doctor Who again, and it looks very professional again. It looks world class. Boneheads says Peter Harrington. Is that us? Is that us, Peter? You can't possibly mean us, can you? But having said that, they're out on the streets of Cardiff again, so yeah, it certainly is. Certainly is like old times. Here we have what I think are unit troops storming. Could that be Donna's house then? Was that the house?
It's the same street. I love the continuity.
Because I can't
look
quite
at
remember
that street and I just think of the Stolen Nerve.
Yeah, it's those terraces, Starry, aren't they? They're quite identifiable.
Oh, yeah, they're very, very Cardiff. My son lived in Cardiff for 3 years or something like that. And yeah, there's a lot of streets like this. The trailer is proof that you don't hand this show over to first-time directors, says Raymond Williams. Well, so you don't hand important episodes over, certainly. The Tiny Time Lord Cooper says she's been holding that slap since 2010. Wham!
Yeah.
Mark the Vicar loves Donna. I think most people do. You see, of the three companions from the Tennant era, Donna is actually my least favourite. I'm much more fond of both Rose and Martha, but I can't argue with the logic of bringing this character back and revisiting that particular dynamic. And to be honest, in the things that I've seen Catherine Tate in since, I wouldn't say she was a poor actress before, but I think she's a better actress now. I think she's done more stuff. She's done more comedy, certainly, but she's done a lot of straight roles too. I gather she's done quite a bit of theatre as well. I think she's about 53, 54 years old now. She's slightly older than David Tennant. And certainly the moments that I see in this, she does seem to be a better actress than she was in the first place. That's no slight on how she was in the original series. Good stuff. We've got another voice about to join us as well. I'm happy to say we've got our real life time traveller over there in Tasmania and back on the mic. Let's see what he's got to say for himself. Hello, Matt Pott.
Hello. Yes,
Hi,
you're not alone.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning, buddy.
You're not alone. I don't like Donna either. She's actually my least favourite character out
Right,
of
kick
all
him
of
back
them.
out.
I don't care. I'm going to die on this hill. I am.
So
I'm just
when they announced that Tennant and Tate were returning, was that a bit of a double-edged sword for you then, Matt?
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yeah, it was. It was like, well, okay. Well, to be honest, I didn't want Tennant back either because I just felt that it was like, well, I mean, I love Tennant. Don't get me wrong, but I felt the dynamic between these two did not work at all, and she was the boss, and he was just, a lackey sort of thing, and I just didn't like that dynamic. But I mean, you've just got to take the good with the bad, don't you?
Of course you have. Yeah, like I said, you can't please all the people all the time, can you? We've got a comment here from Darren.
There are
Bradley.
Donna fans out there, I'll admit that.
Oh, she's tremendously popular. Darren Bradley asks, and he reminds us here, was Donna's lotto win a big one? I forgot that we did see. Well, all we saw was the Doctor go and get what he believed to be a winning lottery ticket. And who did he leave that with, Sarah? Can you remember?
He gave it to Wilf and Jackie, and they passed it on because she puts it down a wedding dress, because she thinks it's a bill, doesn't she? And she says, "Oh, you never know, I might get lucky. It's a triple rollover or something." But it's Wilf and Sylvia's faces that are like, "Oh my God, it's going to be a winning ticket, isn't it?" What if it wasn't? What if that were just like an awful troll by the 10th Doctor?
If we don't see her take her into the news agent or watching the lottery balls pop out of Guinevere, God, that came out wrong. You know what I mean? If we don't see her claiming that win, we don't know that she actually won the lottery. And of course, maybe she only got 4 balls, Darren. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't a jackpot. I suppose we'll find out when the story picks up. Tony L says, "This is what I like about the Russell T Davies era. It was big, loud, fun, action-packed, and heartwarming. And there's certainly a lot of action kicking off in Donna's house. We've got this scene with the 14th Doctor as well. And he appears to be stopping a bullet there with his hand. Did anybody notice this?
Yeah. Maybe it's because he just regenerated. I don't know.
Oh,
perhaps he's got some superpowers or something, some new Time Lord cannon or something.
But he's on that adventure in the comic strips at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, no, he does have a little adventure before.
I think that's only meant to be the first hour or first couple of hours. I think, despite it going over so many issues, but I think it is meant to be only for a short duration of time. I think.
And I wouldn't put it past R2D to do some sort of funny regeneration type thing, because he seems to do that a lot with his doctors.
Yeah.
When the 10th Doctor lost his hand, Charlotte, what was it? His left hand or was it his right hand that he lost?
Oh God, I can't remember
in the
that.
fight with the cigarette.
His right hand.
Somebody will know.
It's his right hand.
But I'm just looking at that. We don't know if he's actually stopping it. It looks like just the shot literally stops just before it would impact his hand.
Oh, because there's some energy coming out of the crack in the door behind the Doctor's head as well.
So it looks like that is literally the last possible moment, and then it would possibly either explode or hit, and we don't know. So I think that's just a really nicely timed shot.
Yes, that could be a force field, but you think, well, why would the Doctor throw his hand out there like that? I did wonder.
If he's just like not thinking, and he's just like, God, I've got to protect Donna and Sylvia and everybody here, because he wouldn't think, he would just put himself in front of whatever was coming at them very easily.
It so felt like Who 12 years back, says Anthony Berriman. Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It evokes that entire era. I guess I'm hoping for escapism again, Matt. That's been missing for the last 5 years. Says Sadako.
Well,
24.
longer than that, but yeah, no, I agree. It feels like that era of Doctor Who.
Other people asking about.
It was a little bit more HD in it, but other than that,
a little bit more. I'd say there's a lot more. We get lots of close-ups, don't we, of both the Doctor and Donna looking quite worried, pensive, and David Tennant. There's a lot of products in that hair, even by his standards, I think, isn't there? But he's looking great, and obviously. There's lots of dialogue in this. That is what I would say. There's a lot. It's just that whatever we hear seems very carefully chosen.
Yeah. Again, dialogue that you would see only in trailers, to get you hyped up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good use. And it's fascinating because I'm guessing that this could be the middle special end, but bringing that, it to our attention that there's something so bad the TARDIS ran away. You immediately like, oh, okay, that's it, because we know the TARDIS is a sentient, and it brings back past episodes, like the Satan pit when the TARDIS didn't even want to land there because they'd gone that far back, and so that really got my interest.
Yeah, they do seem to be maybe aboard a spacecraft or in some sort of futuristic city, maybe, or they could even be underground. I don't know, but these moments and those scenes where the Doctor and Donna do seem to be holed up somewhere, and as you say, we find out in that dialogue, don't we, that they haven't got the TARDIS. They're trapped somewhere hostile without the old girl to get them out of it. And this is the scene in the trailer that's coming for a little bit of flack because of the language in this. So we get the Doctor and Donna, don't we? And he looks worried. If the Doctor looks worried, then obviously we've every reason to be worried. It means the stakes are a little bit higher. And this is the moment where Donna says we've got to go out there and we've got to kick its arse. That's what she says.
She hasn't mellowed, has she? She hasn't mellowed in her old age, has she? She's just constantly shouty McShouty,
Well,
that's the thing that really irritates me. Is I like the fact when she's quiet, but when she just when she's always just shouting, I can't. It just pulls me out straight away.
Well, as I said before, Matt, they've got 3 hours to show us how evolved or not this character may be. The job of the trailer has to be to win back the people who've not just left it in the last 5 years, but maybe the people who life could have got in the way of them watching it for the last 15 years. And they need to see the character that they remember. If they see Catherine Tate playing in the trailer a version of the character that they don't remember from back then the trailer's not doing its job. What do you think, Jack? I mean, they've got Donna must have evolved. She's a mother now. She's a wife. She's a mother. Her mother and grandfather are clearly much, much older. I can see what Matt's saying. I just don't believe that to show massive amount of character development isn't necessarily in the trailer's gift.
Yeah, I think as well with the trailer, we are only getting certain parts of, what's going on with Donna. And I feel like, you might see the old Donna starting to emerge, especially in the second special, because, the threat's starting to escalate. And we did previously see in The Stolen Earth and Journey's End, Donna really cares about her family. And the first thing that she thinks about when in Stolen Earth, when the planets go missing, she's like, but my mum and granddad's there, and she starts panicking, she gets really upset. And I feel like, now that she's got a child as well, she's going to be, terrified. But I feel like instead of, just resorting to panic, she's just going to get angry. And if she throws in the odd little bit of a saucy word, then I think that's probably the reason behind that.
Mark the Vicar says, I never got emotional over the original Doctor Who. The new run, however, and it does with Russell T Davies, he's great at writing emotion, isn't he, Sarah? And in pulling on our heartstrings, in hitting switches, which I suppose if you were cynical and out of the moment, you'd be able to see through them. But because he doesn't do it in such a saccharine way, he pulls on our heartstrings, our affections for these characters very, very subtly and very effectively. And so, I mean, look, the Doctor there with his hands in his pockets, the body language as well, because David Tennant is that kind of physical actor. I think this says a lot as well, just when you see these static images from this. But what do you feel about this? Because Donna, at one point she says, we've got a bloody Martian in the shed. And here she says, we've got to go and kick its arse. Some people, mostly on X, Twitter, which isn't exactly the home of the most rational side to Doctor Who fandom, have been throwing their toys out the pram about perceived bad language
Oh
in
my
Doctor Who.
God. Well, they need to grow up. This is 2007 again, when Martha said, we're on the bloody moon, and everyone, oh my God.
Yeah.
Look, they shouldn't be effing and blinding, obviously, because it's a family show, but arse is perfectly fine. And it's not really, if you're going around going, oh, blast, those Martians are bad. It's not, there's got to be some realism there. So I don't know, it doesn't bother me. But again, that whole scene, it is so evocative of the stolen when they're in the TARDIS and they lose the trail to the planet, and the Doctor, he just gives it. He's just stood there, and it's Donna who's like, "What are we going to do? We need to do something." And again, that dynamic is very much present in that scene. So already, you've got the progression from Donna not knowing what the hell's going on to suddenly just going with it and like, right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to be proactive. I'm absolutely fine with it.
But I think even here you're seeing some progression. I understand obviously it's not the whole thing because it's a trailer. But I can remember, for example, in the Suntaran episode, when she had to come out the TARDIS and she had to do her own little mission and hit one on the back of the head. She was absolutely petrified and she played it brilliantly. I'll remember, because usually a companion, we were so used to at that point them going, okay, Doctor, I'll do this. No, scared, no sort of, oh God, I have to do this moment. But with Donna, you could see she was shaking almost a bit. She was like, can I do this? And here, it's an alien threat. It could be anything. And we've all said it's powerful enough that the TARDIS has said, I don't want to do this. So the fact that Donna's saying, no, we're going to get it, we're going to kick it, for me, that's even showing, no, she's actually, if this is like a reset almost, that she's forgotten all the aliens, she's forgotten all the adventures. She's actually being quite brave. And it probably is a little bit of, not denying, it's a bit of...
One of the things, Charlotte, that people used to say was overdone in the Russell T Davies era was the use of the cloister bell to signpost danger. We didn't hear the cloister bell in this trailer. Did that surprise you?
No, he did it in other ways. Like you said, the dialogue, some of the action he did show. I think the extra stuff we saw of the Toymaker, I think that was actually quite good at setting the sort of level of threat they are facing. Because one of my favourite scenes, I don't know if we'll talk about it, but it's like a really quick one when he's like massive. It looks like the Toymaker.
Yeah.
And he's like,
and he's peering down. Yeah.
And I don't know if I was seeing things, but it almost looked like to me he literally had puppet strings.
Yeah.
So it's like,
right. This is one of several scenes.
Yeah.
This is one of several scenes we see of the Toymaker, yes, where he's clearly giant-sized and up in the sky. This looks like something out of a Marvel comic book, something that Jack Kirby would illustrate. So he's still dressed as the Toymaker, and he appears to have an Austrian accent, doesn't he? And he is using this. When I first saw the pictures of Neil Patrick Harris as the Toymaker, which is good 18 months ago, the first impression I got was of Geppetto from Pinocchio or something like that. So he's a puppet maker, a puppet master, and here we are, quite literally. Here he is holding the pieces of wood to work a puppet, just like we see in the original animated Disney Pinocchio. I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it, Charlotte?
Yeah, but the thing why I was always excited, and Neil Patrick Harris, and the fact that they've confirmed it, actually, finally, not in the trailer, which was a bit weird, but on social media, that he is the Toymaker. Is the Toymaker as an entity is so powerful. He's above, I think, anything Doctor Who. Maybe with some other examples, I bet the chat can probably name them. But for me, the Toymaker's always been this sort of incredibly powerful, almost above everything else entity that can do whatever they want. And I really wanted the BBC, with this extra money we think it's got now, to actually show that visually, to actually show this isn't a villain you can sort of trick a bit and run away. He's going to come after you. He's going to get you. He's that powerful. And I think that image was really good, quick blast of this is what he can do. And I so want to see more now of the visual tricks and the sort of things he can do in these specials.
I want kids to be scared again. Yes. Wouldn't that be brilliant?
I think it's because the character is next to omnipotent. The closest I can think of, Matt, would be the Eternals from Enlightenment. Is the only characters that had that kind of level of power as the Toymaker. What do you think?
Oh, look, I mean, I think that scene with the puppet strings is probably one of the strongest scenes I've ever seen visually in any Doctor Who, in a new Doctor Who. It was just something different, so vastly different to what we'd seen before. Whether or not it's a dream sequence or anything, something like that, who knows? But it has me intrigued at last. This is the scene that actually got me interested in the whole project. So I mean, I've always been a fan of Neil Patrick Harris anyway. Especially his singing ability, and so that's why I was hoping that he might do a bit of a tune in this. But it's really got me intrigued, and just obviously RTD has thought about this. I mean, I love the clouds behind him. It's like he's like got the whole world under his thumb, and I love that. That to me is a villain, So it's that has me excited.
Anthony Berryman, Tony says that was an amazing shot. Yes, so Kirby, the puppet master. This character. Go on, carry on.
Sorry. I was just going to say that little snippet from the trailer. I don't know if anyone's seen Spider-Man: Far From Home with the sequence with Mysterio where he mentally tortures Peter Parker by showing him like dead loved ones and that. And I feel like if the Toymaker did something like that, that would be a good way to throw in maybe a few old cameos with some older companions, or even some older incarnations of the Doctor as well. I think would be a nice little way to, because you do see later in the trailer David's Doctor does kind of lose his shit a little bit, so it'll be intriguing to know what's going on.
Electric Bull says, who are the puppets and why are they not showing them? They can't show us everything.
Because the Doctors. I would hope that there is
anybody.
a call back to the Hartnell episode. I mean, I know
there's going to have to be.
Because I think that would, and we've got to remember, this is a 60th anniversary. This isn't just a RTD celebration. So it would be nice to have Hartnell in there somewhere.
Dalius says, Q from Star Trek. I suppose that is the closest character from other franchises that I can think of is comparable to the Celestial Toymaker. That's a good spot as well, Dalius. Or the Guardians, says Richard Brooks. The Trickster, says the classic 80s fanboy, mostly in the Sarah Jane Adventures, I think, the Trickster. But it's another similar character, but not quite with the same sort of breadth of power as that the Toymaker has. We also see, obviously, this has been long teased, hasn't it? The appearance of Beep the Meep. And it would appear that the character gets discovered, obviously, by this character. This is Rose Temple Noble. Rose is Donna's daughter, so we do know that, and we don't see much. We don't see much of her, but she asks, "Who are they?" And then we hear Beep the Meep reply, "They're monsters," don't we? In a little, and that reminds me, Matt, of another scene from the Star Beast, because in the comic strip version, Beep the Meep is discovered by a character who goes on to be the Doctor's companion, Sharon, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And you know, it looks almost picture perfect. So it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that translates from the page to the even, especially since it's not really the same. It's not the same story at all. So you know, it'll be interesting to see how that translate into another story. You know, or a similar story.
That's another lovely shot. Doesn't that make you think of the shot in ET when he's hiding in the wardrobe?
It's the first thing it did I think that's honestly what it was taken from. There's you can't get around. I mean, it's in the cupboard as well, so you know.
Tony says that Neil Patrick Harris is going to steal the show. Could well be.
Yep.
Maybe Beep the Meep will steal the show. Everybody's banging on about the Toymaker, says Shah. I just want to know how many people think Beep the Meep is cute. Looks can be deceiving. Yes, they can indeed. But these effect shots, I mean, I understand that the Star Beast episode was only actually finished a few short weeks ago. So I would imagine, I do wonder if we put the clips we got, because I think we first saw Beep in the Eurovision trailer, didn't we, Jack? So I do wonder if we put the two side by side, maybe we could tell if they've been working on it sort of right up to now, effectively.
Yeah, that's actually quite an interesting thing you've just pointed out there, because I had no clue that they were still working on the Star Beast up until now. And I am intrigued to see how far they've come in terms of, you know, what was used in the previous trailer. But I'm also curious how they were able to recreate Beat the Meep. Like, was it just all from like a physical puppet, or was it CGI as well?
I think it's a bit of. I think it would have to be a bit of both.
I reckon that if they play the cards right, this could be the new Grogu.
Yeah.
I can just imagine this being in every shop. Can you imagine?
Well, it's very, very marketable, isn't it?
Meat pajamas.
Yeah.
I think you're right about this story, Matt. I think that just because it played out a certain way in the comic doesn't necessarily mean that all the same beats will be hit in the TV version. And because Beep the Meep is a character that has reappeared in the comics over the years and in audios, hasn't it? But for all we know, this could be a one and done. All bets are off when it comes to TV. Cooper in the live chat says, flashback to when I thought Neil Patrick Harris was playing the Black Guardian. Of course, the Black and the White Guardians, they're another level above literally everything else, above even the Eternals and probably the Toymaker too. I'm not entirely sure.
That's a good call though, Cooper. Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And also, we don't know who else is going to be a foe. Like I've said this before, they've very purposefully really focused in on Toymaker.
Yeah.
We've not really seen who else or what else is probably the better way to phrase it.
I think he is going to be the big bad. I honestly think he's going to be the big bad. I don't think he'll be a lackey like, you know, in like Talons of Wang Chai.
I agree. He won't be a lackey. But I cannot help but think it's the 60th. Is there not going to be, even if it's just for a little bit or just to be a part of the bigger picture, is there going to be other villains possibly?
We could see all manner of things in, like I say, it's 3 hours worth of screen time. We've seen 2 minutes worth of it. So I think a lot of things remain to be seen. There's a lot of surprises, I believe, that could be coming our way. Raymond Williams says these episodes are a celebration of the Russell T Davies era. Maybe the Wild Blue Yonder will be the true 60th anniversary special, but so far there is no hint it's celebrating the classic era, Celestial Toymaker or not. Maybe, as we've said, I think, Sarah, you summed it up perfectly earlier on. There's a lot that's riding on these specials. Sadly, I think if the last few years had gone another way, we'd perhaps be in a position where the show could have done something with more breadth. encompassing the whole of 60 years worth of Doctor Who history. But the fact is, we're not in that place. We are where we are, and the show is where it is, and this is what is needed in the here and now. So I would imagine there's going to be. Well, we know David Tennant said there's so much that we haven't seen. Russell T Davies has said there's a lot we haven't seen.
I'm not giving up hope that there will be stuff, and having the Toymaker as the villain, you know, being able to manipulate reality and everything, it just seems the perfect excuse to be able to get, you know, these appearances in. And have you noticed there's not been a lot of footage of the studio? A lot of the trailer has been location shots, which I think has been again deliberate. So we've got no idea what they filmed in secret, you know, behind closed doors.
That's what they're keeping under wraps. We've still seen very, very little from that middle special, just as Richard quite rightly hones in on there. And talking about a sense of scale, though, I mean, we've all got our shopping list, haven't we, of things that we wanted from this for one reason or another. Maybe people just want to see more classic callbacks, and that's fine. That's understandable. For me, right now, Jack, what I really wanted to see, what I think the show needed more than anything else from these specials, is to be reassured, I suppose, that the show is in safe hands and that everything will and can be a step up. I want this show to look $1 million. Is $1 million still a lot of money? I think when you've in Bob Iger
for buying a house,
it probably isn't. But I want this show to look like not just a step up from what came before, but a gargantuan leap up from what came before. And the scene which lends me to believe that we have got that, for me, was this one, when we see a helicopter over the London sky with the TARDIS. You can just see the TARDIS there hanging from a rope. If you remember, we recently reviewed The Day of the Doctor, and that is how units have got form, haven't they, for commandeering the TARDIS and transporting her in such a way. So we see this across the London skyline over to a building that we've certainly never seen in the show before. But it was this shot in particular where we see the same helicopter with the TARDIS with its light blinking, but the Doctor, the 14th Doctor, is there in a helicopter, seemingly, I don't know if he's been captured by unit or called in by unit, but this, I suppose, just like you said, Matt, about that scene with the Toymaker as the puppet, for me, this is what I want from, not just from the specials, but from all new Doctor Who. This looks cinematic. This looks incredible. This is the kind of scene that I have never seen in Doctor Who before, just a quiet moment like that. The smallest of moments where we're looking at the Doctor, because Tennant is magnetic in this role, but everything about that, you can imagine that this was storyboarded beautifully, and this is what makes me think that the series, okay, we don't know how it's going to turn out this time next year, but that they're putting the money into it, that it's going to be very obvious to those people who've been away for a little while that they're not going to come back to a show that looks like it was made in 2008, Jack.
Yeah, and I think as well, you know, this is obviously going to be the first one that's been, you know, jabbed with the old Disney dollar. And I think, with these beautiful VFX shots and, you know, from the bits that we've seen from the trailer, I think, are going to blow the public away, because Doctor Who is known for its the quarries and the running through corridors, which are great, don't get me wrong, but I think, like, you know, for the casual audiences that are coming back to be honest, just to see David and Catherine Tate back on screen, it will be nice for them to be amazed and hopefully stick around for what's to come in the future as well.
Yeah, they did look like a couple of scenes of running up and down corridors in this, didn't they, Matt? And that's quite reassuring, isn't it? Is that there for the classic fans?
One would hope something's there for the classic fans, that's for sure. We really didn't get to see a lot of that in the new series anyway. So, in the last few years. So, hopefully, this is gonna rock my socks. It really is. So, I can't wait.
Really?
I need to be in charge of this merchandising thing, because I can totally turn this around.
I mean, look at the people in the live chat here, just on YouTube. We've got Tony asking for Beep the Meep Y-fronts. Shah wants Beep the Meep slippers and hot water bottles here. This is a character that is capturing people's imaginations. The Unit HQ. The last time now, we've seen Unit HQ quite recently, which looked a little bit like an AA call center. This, again, looks several steps up, doesn't it? This is Unit's new HQ.
This is Stark Tower.
Dead
This
centre
is.
of London. Everybody knows what this is.
It's not exactly subtle, is it? It's like we're a special, we're secret organisation called Unit.
And I was sort of, because me and Shah were chatting after the trailer, and I joked with her, I was like, I'd love to know where the funding came from, because the last time we saw Unit, like you said, they weren't looking like they were in the best of like straits.
Well, if you remember in Resolution, it got shut down because of funding, because of that was also hilarious Brexit joke. Oh, like, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, of course, it's Doctor Who's television, so I don't need them to explain it to me, but it just made me giggle a bit because I was just
think this is where the millions went. Donna funded this.
Oh, so she's invested. There we go.
Well, just because obviously they withdrew funding from Unit for a little while. When we last saw them, they were definitely on their uppers again. Just because they withdrew funding doesn't mean that funding isn't kind of still available should they want it. But if we look a little bit closer, yeah, there it is, and there's the TARDIS hanging there. And again, you know, we can all tell what this is and what it's inspired by and what it's an evolution from. And yeah, well, you could say it is quite funny that there's a big Unit emblem, but how many people are going to be able to see up there? That's very, very, very high up. And
it's like, oh, what's that building? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, the unit symbol isn't going to be visible to the average person coming out of Greg's, are they, at street level? But Unit HQs do have a history for not necessarily being the most discreet of places, as we saw in the classic show. And what this reminds me of as well, see, this is all part of the charm of Doctor Who.
Another Avengers reference.
Exactly. The Avengers, the helicarrier in Avengers, obviously it did look like they nicked that from the Valiant in Doctor Who back in 2008. I mean, yeah, the truth is there was helicarriers back in the original Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comics, weren't there, Matt, in the 1960s, which I would imagine.
Captain Scarlet.
Oh, yes,
Captain
yes,
Scarlet
Captain
too.
Scarlet.
Yeah, so these things, but this is part of, and this is why I really love this. This is why I'm in support of this, because for my money, again, when we've talked about why Doctor Who has failed over the last few years, and the lack of vision, the lack of scale, the lack of simple adventure, Sarah, We've said, all of us on this show have certainly said, and I've seen most fans say it, apart from those fans. You know who I mean. Apart from those fans, we've all said it, that what this show really needed was to get back to the Russell T Davies era, because Russell had a vision for that side of the show that, in my view, Matt, was, I mean, if you remember when he started New Who, his original concept artist was Brian Hitch, wasn't he? Who'd at that point he'd worked on the Ultimates for Marvel, and the Ultimates is the comic that inspired the MCU. And so for me, when we see things like this is a return to the aesthetic of the original Russell T Davies era, just again given that investment of cash and increased scope and sense of scale. Do you see what I'm saying? This is what we've been asking for, basically.
I think the original RTD had his run had ran its course.
Yeah, of course,
it really had. And but you got to remember too, he was under a certain budget of limitations, especially with the BBC, who didn't want to bring the show back. You know, it was only him and someone else that
Lorraine Heggessy was very much a staunch believer in the show. She'd been trying to bring it back for 4 years.
That finally pushed it back. So, you know, he was just lucky to get the budget that he did get. But, you know, I can see the money on the screen with this. So, you know, and especially with the filming and everything like that, it just looks like it has gone up a level from what it previously was. Especially when they do that flashback scene with them in the TARDIS, and you know he's showing how he got rid of Donna's memories and stuff. And so you know you could see that there was a difference between the film stock there, even back then. You know, and so you know. yeah, it actually just looks like they're giving it their all, and which they should. They should. They need it. As far as I'm concerned. So yeah,
we've seen this helipad several times, haven't we, Matt? In behind the scenes pictures of them filming, and in shots taken by drones as well, Jack, above filming locations. And this is actually on a car park somewhere, isn't it? But obviously, with the magic of the film and television and green screen and technology, it's there hundreds of feet in the air with the TARDIS. I mean, this does look, I don't think I've ever seen anything look this good certainly on British television, and it has to be comparable with anything that is on screen in some of those terrible Marvel shows that are on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it certainly does. And again, it's that same sort of money that's being put into it. Obviously, with Doctor Who, it hasn't been known to have the best budget in the world, but it does make use of what it's got, and it looks incredible. But I just hope that, Doctor Who doesn't start leaning on trying to be more visually appealing rather than, getting a good story, because we've gone through an era where, it looks beautiful in a lot of regards, but narratively, it's like, nah.
Yeah.
See, what keeps my faith, Sarah, because I think Jack's got a valid point there, point for concern, but what keeps my faith are moments like this, where despite the fact this looks so spectacular, you're drawn to the Doctor.
Yeah, you can't help it. But again, I think that it's because it's that Doctor. Not every Doctor you're going to be drawn to, but you certainly are with David Tennant. But one thing I wanted to mention isn't it interesting that, when RTD first brought the show back, he geared it towards women and girls, and it was very successful. That now I feel like with this, I don't think there is a concerted effort to get the boys back, because a lot of boys did check out. My own children did.
Mine too.
So when you see that kind of like Avengers, Marvel-esque comic book, and even bringing in Beep the Meep and bringing in that comic book element, it got them excited, and seeing, the lavish.
Well, it seems
budget.
to be aiming for their demographic, doesn't it?
And it should. It
your
should
age.
be, and not just. It's got to bring back boys. It's got to bring back families. It's got to bring back the fans, and it's got to bring back the public. There's a lot riding on this, as we've all said. But I do think there are encouraging signs that he's trying. We need it accessible again. The past 5 years, it went very exclusive. It was, to one part of the fandom, one part of the population, and it needs to come back. It needs to be accessible to all again.
Absolutely. I think certainly for my money so far, I know this is only 2 minutes worth, but it does look like it's got something for everybody, including Jerry Anderson fans. Matthew Pounder says it's two Jerry Anderson. Can you anything ever be two Jerry Anderson?
No,
Particularly
Matthew,
we're talking about adventure television.
What I'm intrigued with is what's he going to do with Unit, because I think throughout a lot of the modern run, Unit has suffered a bit with what actually is it. Is it a military group? Is it all that sort of soldier? Is it scientific, with Kate being the head of it now, and her initially making a point that she turned it away a little bit from its military roots, and she tried to make it a bit more sciencey and thinking and intellectual. But I've always felt like the show had a good idea with Unit in the modern run, but like I said, it sort of didn't know how to actually go through with its ideas. So the fact that Russell has chosen Unit, it would make sense in the anniversary, but I'm hoping he has chosen. And I think, honestly, even though I like the actress who plays Kate, I do think she has also sort of, throughout the years, she's lost a little bit of character, a little bit of spark.
She's not being utilised properly. She really suffered.
I feel like she's just become Sergeant Major, shouty lady almost.
I think that Gemma Redgrave has been playing the character of Kate Lethbridge-Stewart for around 12 years now. It's a long time. That's longer than Nick Courtney. That's longer than Nick Courtney was playing the Brigadier for. She's been associated with this role for a very long time. And I'm aware that there are probably people out there who've never seen Gemma Redgrave in another role. I mean, she used to do a lot of movies and TV drama. Really good stuff, eclectic work as well. She's a great actress. I've seen her in some
Comes from a great lineage of actors.
But you can't. Can you really tell me anything about the character? Though? I mean, we could do an entire show on Nicholas Courtney. We know exactly what his motivations were, what he cared about, his strengths, his weaknesses.
I think we knew what kind of man he. I think we knew what kind of man he was. We never knew a great deal about his life, and that's why when I was growing up as a Doctor Who fan, the little things that we knew about him, the fact that he'd got a girlfriend called Doris and had once gone on a holiday to Cromer, that was about it. That was all we knew, and so we latched onto those things. So we don't necessarily know any more about Kate than we did about him, but I think we've got a better idea, or had a better idea, about the Brigadier's values and his bond with the Doctor. The things that we don't know about Kate in this regard are not on Gemma Redgrave's shoulders at all. She's been given some good material. I think that Stephen Moffat was developing this character very, very gradually, but he'd never, I don't think he ever brought her back for the sake of it, Jack. I think he only ever incorporated into a story where the character fitted. And so it was only ever every now and again. She was never a recurring presence the way the Brigadier was. But under the last time we saw her it was the Power of the Doctor, wasn't it? So she was in that. But when she was in Flux, I mean,
wait, she was in Flux?
She was very exactly. You'd be forgiven
I haven't watched that in a long time.
You'd be forgiven for thinking it was the same. It looked like poor Miss Redgrave had been given the script that morning, it had been shoved into her hands, and she'd been pushed on set. She looked like she had no idea what she was saying, who these people were, or where she was. Whereas in The Power of the Doctor, you could see she'd had more time to work with the material again. Because this is a great actress, and some actors can polish turds. Perhaps Gemma's just not one of them. In this, she does look a little bit more formidable, though. And here she is with the Doctor, with yet another brand new Doctor.
I was half waiting for her to say, "Oh, you're a man again," you know.
Or maybe she will.
Apparently, the other one was the best one out of the lot, you know.
Maybe she will. What I noticed though about these pictures of Kate, I'm happy to see her back, but I think you're right. I think that it's time to piss or get off the pot with this character. We need to know a little bit more about who she is, why she does what she does, and I think that Gemma Redgrave, an actress who must have choices. I think it's been to her a testimony to her dedication to the part that she stuck with it, but it must have been quite thankless for the last few years. But what I'm looking at Sarah, is this that's on her arm there. Can you see that silver band?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'm looking at that because we saw Mel wearing one that was exactly the same in this picture when Bonnie Langford was announced as returning to the show back
to stop him from falling off the edge.
Do you think that's what it is? Some kind of gravitation device?
Yeah, because it gets pretty blowy up there.
At altitude. That could be a bit of unit kit. So, they need to show us who Kate is. We know that Kate is back for Series 14, don't we, Matt? We've seen pictures of her chatting with Millie Gibson's character, Ruby.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting time.
Just give us something to do.
I always felt that Unit and Torchwood in the same universe, that the reason why Moffat went with Unit was because he couldn't use Torchwood or something like that. He didn't want to didn't want to play with Torchwood or anything. So that's the reason why they brought Unit back. So it was a bit strange that I thought, I would be surprised why RTD didn't bring Torchwood back. But there you go. It should be interesting. Hopefully they won't overdo it too much.
Richard Brooks says, sorry, Charlotte, the leadership of Unit is not hereditary. So what's her speciality or qualifications to be in the role? Well, she's not the head of Unit. She's their scientific advisor. She's the head of their science division. Isn't she, Charlotte? Am I remembering that correctly?
I thought she was the head. I'm sure she's
introduced
herself.
But wasn't she working under that guy in Flux? The awful.
I'm not counting Snake, fella. No, I'm not counting him.
He was the head. Wasn't he the head of unit?
Oh yeah, because he slipped in because it was never explained, so I don't care.
None of it's ever been explained.
Beforehand.
Get used to it with Doctor Who.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be
things
very
you
just like,
remember
no,
and
that
things
didn't
you just
happen.
want to forget.
But I think with Kate, and this is what I'm hoping Russell does. I think she needs to have a little bit of a second or another character that she can actually bounce off a bit, that she can actually maybe fall out with a bit, or really have that, because she's never really had a good second in the show when she's been in it. She's never had that alternative viewpoint. It's always been, no, this is what we're doing, I'm the boss, you're going to follow it.
Yeah, she needs a Benton and a Yates.
Yeah, she needs that sort of different.
She had Osgood.
Isn't it tragic that Lee Evans has retired, is what I'm thinking, because Malcolm Taylor would be perfect. I can't see. He's retired from performing pretty much altogether, barring the odd charity show. I think, and this is nothing against Ingrid Oliver, who plays Osgood, but I think that character has probably run its course. And I noticed that she's conspicuous by her absence in this. I'm not expecting to see Osgood back myself. Michael says Kate has been written badly ever since she first appeared. I don't think that's unfair, to tell you the truth. I think you're probably right. The problem being also is not a fan of Kate. Kate Bland Stewart says problem being, good to see you there, mate. Michael suggests that Russell will write her better. Russell will write everybody better because he's one of the best writers. If you like him or not, this man is one of the best writers in television. The Brigadier was character driven, said Mark the Vicar. Yeah, I think the show was largely then. And what else have we got? Yeah. People are very divided on her, and I can entirely see why. Mark Milford speculates as well that this is to introduce the unit series. This is something that's been speculated about for a very, very long time. Who knows? Maybe it will happen. And Who Fan Down says that Kate needs to be more like her dad, Sarah, which really does completely come full circle to what you were saying right at the top of this segment, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I'd love a unit series. But obviously, this has got to work. Let's get Doctor Who back first before we get ahead of ourselves. If this has to be successful, to have these spin-offs.
She's not compelling as a character. Full stop, said Ezra Goldstein. Yeah, this could be a second chance for the character. Like I say, I think they've got a good actress in this role. I'm convinced that now we've got somebody with real vision who can build characters, who can sustain them and propel them, Jack. I just believe in Russell T Davies, in his powers as a writer, certainly. And moving on slightly, we've got... Now, did anybody spot this scene? I'm wondering what on earth is going on here. Where's your money on this, Jack?
Oh, well... I have a few little interesting theories here.
Okay.
I either think that it's going to be a physical portal to the edge, where, we might get some...
that bloke from U2?
No. The edge from, the Power of the Doctor, where the other Doctors were all chilling. And I think that might lead to some scenes between David and Ncuti, maybe. Or my other little theory is that it could be a gateway to the Toymaker's realm. Was this, because I've never gone back and rewatched The Power of the Doctor, is this reminiscent of some special effect from that centenary special from just under a year ago? No, it's not. However, the little snippet at the end with Ncuti? At this trailer, there's like a little faded orange-esque background, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, are we going to be revisiting that concept? Maybe. I don't know. Again, I could be reaching, the wrong end of the stick or something, but I don't know. That's just my assumption.
How does everybody else feel about that? Do you think Jack could be onto something? I hadn't considered that at all.
Yeah, I mean, both are very plausible. I would lean into more, it's probably the Toymaker's realm. But yeah, there's definitely something with that orange background, unless it is just an effect, Jack, just to throw us off the scent, which it could be. But yeah, again, it's a perfect excuse to bring familiar faces back.
Yeah.
Could be a fart cloud, I suppose, Matt.
It could be the key to time. Let's go back to that.
It could be. Can anybody make out? Is that Matt Smith? Can anybody make out a bow tie in there? I can't.
No, I would notice.
Can't wait to see him. No,
Someone
no.
mentioned to me the other day after watching the trailer, they brought up Torchwood, and
yes,
people were saying that purple effect there reminds them of that episode with the sex gas. And my mind suddenly went down like a rabbit hole. Oh no, please no.
Swearing's going to be half their problem if that's the case.
I don't think, is there something in that? To me, I don't know if it's just my eyes, but I'd like. It looks like an ink block test. I can see a time load, the big shoulder pads on the helmet. Is it just me?
The Ronnie?
No, like a traditional
Time Lord guard.
Yeah, with all the headgear on and stuff.
Instagram and Twitter at type40. What can you see? Is this like an ink blot test? What do you see in this pattern? Who do you see? And where do you see this going? We've got, generally, you can hear, we've not really got the faintest idea what's going on here, but is that all part of the fun? When it comes to the plot, obviously, of this, when it was all announced and when Russell T Davies was talking it up, I think it was around a year ago, he said the Doctor was in for the fight of his lifetime, didn't he? Did anybody remember that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Because it harkens back, doesn't it, to the original tagline of Doctor Who, New Doctor Who, RTD1 being the trip of a lifetime. Now we've got the fight of a lifetime. So I believe the stakes for this will end up being really quite personal for the Doctor. But having said that, we did get a line of dialogue again between Kate and the Doctor where she asks, doesn't she, what do we do this time? She asks the Doctor, how do we fight the human race? And so if the entire human race have been affected by something, by the Toymaker, have been weaponized against UNIT or against the Doctor, then why isn't Kate and the UNIT staff, why aren't they affected by this? Anybody picked up on that?
Because they've got them bands on their arm. It stops the signal, so I don't know.
Were the guards, are the UNIT troops wearing them as well? You can't see, can you? But that's obviously, that could be some indication of the larger plot, couldn't it?
Prevent them from seeing.
Or maybe the human race hasn't turned yet. It's just they know that that's what the end game of this villain is. They've just declared that's going to be what they want to do, but they haven't done it yet. So UNIT's trying to preemptively stop it. Hence, getting the Doctor in.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
Because they know that's the deadline almost.
I think I can see the Toymaker, says Dalius. I bet it's nothing to do with the Toymaker, says Michael. So people have got, people are debating this. But we've got little images in between scenes. Like there's a plane which looks like it's dropping out of the sky here in this one. So and there's the Doctor. I think it's the Doctor staring up at it. But there's little flashes in this. If we were to literally go frame by frame, not only would we literally be here until the morning, but we'd probably be able to pick up a lot more. But I think you can look at these things too much, can't you? How far do we want to take it?
Is he in New York?
I'd say that looks like Camden to me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it might not necessarily be real. It could be an illusion. That's the beauty of this.
It's smoking, isn't it? It looks obviously it's about to crash because it's smoking from the engines. So, who knows?
Problem being says that UNIT soldier looks so nice. Put him back up. you mucky pup. I'll send you the screenshots later, man.
He needs something to leave. He's not happy with
my theory is the Toymaker affects the regeneration. Shooty is sent to the edge asking what the hell is going on here. 14 has to fight the Toymaker and ends up resetting back to 13 regenerating. It's a big theory there, Dally. It's a big theory. Big brain theories. Oh dear, too big for my brain. Yet another one of those where it's the Doctor versus humanity. Suggests Lord Thoth. Has it been done before? I suppose you could say in other Russell T Davies stories up to a certain point. And people mention the Trickster again. There's been people noticing the band. Aidan McGeer, says, I think the band technology and signal blockers could be a safeguard following on from events of the Christmas invasion. Bloody hell. Where a bunch of UNIT soldiers were blood controlled onto the roofs to self-delete. Yeah, well,
Good point. Yeah.
Going back quite a way. That would be going back quite a way. Spectacular stuff. Keep those comments coming as we reach the final fence, the final straight of our review of this brand new trailer for the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. We've got so much left to see, but they've given us 2.5 minutes worth of brand new Doctor Who to feast on and to pick our way through here at Type 40 Live. Got lots of comments so far in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble and Facebook. Don't forget to leave some more in the comments section too. By all means, we'd love to hear your theories, however wild, and your rants and your raves, the things that they're giving you that you always wanted to see from this, and the stuff that the boxes they're still not ticking. We get stuff exploding as well. Throughout this, it's hard to pin down exactly what any of it is supposed to be. This all looks a bit Jerry Anderson too, but to be honest, that's all fine by me. And I think we're about to lose you, I think, aren't we, Charlotte?
Yes. So it's been lovely chatting, and I love I do love the theory stuff and just bouncing off ideas. And this is when hopefully we're now in the proper exciting promotion, and I'm just hoping they don't do nothing now. We don't have like another dip. Hopefully they keep this up, because this is what we need.
It is indeed. We'll see you in a couple of days for more Type 40 Live, Charlotte, and there's lots more to talk about no doubt. Some more people will be joining us with their views on this trailer, I don't doubt. But yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks for joining us again, Charlotte. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Back to the action and back to the Toymaker. I thought this was spectacular too. Another costume for Neil Patrick Harris, leather jacket and boots here. Reminds me of Indiana Jones, those kind of movies, the 40s and the 50s. Matt, did you notice this? He's got some sort of big cannon.
That's on the helipad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, now these guns are all the way around the unit helipad, aren't they? Or in certain positions?
Yes, they are. I've just noticed one of they've got a computer arm on the thing that he's holding. It's a computer arm to hold the monitor up. I've got what exactly to say. It was like, okay.
And if you look, he's holding a sort of joystick as well, Sarah, in his left hand.
It's a bit personal, Dan. I don't want to.
He dresses to the left. No, but you can see it looks like a targeting device of some sort.
Do you know what it reminds me of? In Sonic, the bad guy, Dr. Eggman. That kind of crazy contraption that is built to get Sonic. I've got a really good feeling about the Toymaker. I think Neil's just gonna have so much that it's gonna be like it's just gonna be chewing the scenery. I think. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a deep dive on the Toymaker himself, I think, in the not too distant future on Type 40 Live. Yeah, that could be something really worth getting our teeth into, because he does seem a little bit more playful in this one than we've perhaps seen him before.
Less serious.
But this moment and this sequence where the Doctor seems to be at direct loggerheads with the Toymaker there, Jack, this is where things do seem to get very, very visceral, don't they? And we see, I think, Matt, you said earlier on, the Doctor is seen to really lose it. He shouts at him, "Your fight is with me."
Yeah, and that's what I love about the Doctor, especially David's interpretation of the character, because, we had stuff like, the Waters of Mars, where he really, really goes down a dark path. And I don't think we'll necessarily get the exact same, but because, the Doctor's revisiting this phase for a reason. We don't know what the reason is yet.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, from the bits of dialogue that we've seen so far, the Doctor's kind of having a bit of an identity crisis. Like, they don't know, he doesn't know who he is and stuff like that. And I feel like, the Doctor's really going to discover or rediscover what it is to be the Doctor. And maybe that also leads into the regeneration into Shooty, maybe. I don't know, just throwing some theories again.
Again, I can't forget that tagline, Sarah, the fight of a lifetime.
Yeah.
I think it's the Doctor's lifetime. I think the stakes are personal.
I absolutely agree. And again, Tennant wasn't an angry Doctor. Certainly not to, it takes a lot.
He had his outbursts out of character, like all of a sudden.
But you had to really pushes buttons to get a response like this. So again, that says to me that the stakes are really high, and he's going to do whatever he can to protect Donna and everybody, the human race, everybody. And it's and I hope it is personal, because as much as we have the big effects and the saving the world, it's always, every finale it got bigger and bigger. It was the Doctor's got to save the universe, the world, the galaxy, all of time itself, and so bring it. Yes, have the big, worldwide threat, but also we need the personal battle as well, I think.
Because obviously the scale of this does seem to be pretty large, but I suppose if what's at stake is the Doctor's continued existence. The Doctor, at some point in the trailer, we hear him say something has entered this world, something from a long time ago. I've got a memory after a very long time. Something is coming back. That's what he says. And the Toymaker describes himself as the one who waits. So it's sort of suggested that this is the first confrontation between these two characters in hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years.
Yeah, and again, it would be nice for fans who haven't seen that, and and the normies to have that kind of reference, because I know he's appeared, hasn't he, in Big Finish stories before, but obviously not everybody will have had access to them. But it's very intriguing. It's very intriguing that he chose to bring this villain back.
Yeah. I suppose, to be truthful, for a special that has got to really grab people's attention and go next level, characters like, people are mentioning the Master in the chat. The Master, we've seen a lot of the Master, various Masters over the last 20 years, haven't we, Jack? I wouldn't say the Master is a spent force, but for a 60th anniversary story, I think we saw, as much as I love the Day of the Doctor, the one thing that didn't have was a very clear antagonist, and I think it did suffer for it.
Yeah,
if I'm honest, a couple of weeks after my rewatch of it, it really did. And to have an effective villain at the dead center of this is really important. Worldwide premiere, says the Mecharon. That's really caught on with people, isn't it? That sort of that line there. And we've got a comment here from Matthew Pound. You're not in a very good mood, are you, Matthew? He says, Tennant overacting again. I don't think this is overacting. I thought this sounded incredible and powerful. I'm with you completely.
At the moment, it's not in context. So you just have to wait until it's in context.
Yeah, of course. You're absolutely right. We need a village in North Wales under siege, says Sufan Dan, or a Dorset quarry. Though we need a quarry. Quarries are clearly very high. Very high on the wish list there. Internet Rumours suggest the original Celestial Toymaker story is back. Oh, you mean the episodes have been recovered? Well, I haven't seen any.
Amazing.
It would be ideal, but I haven't seen any rumours of that myself, and I don't. Even if they were, I can't see that Russell would have written an entire anniversary story around that possibility. But nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible, is it? But I
think the most will only get an animation. I think, if anything,
that would be nice. Yeah, I think that we can hope. I think we can hope reasonably for something like that. But I suppose that when the trailer reaches its final reel, in effect, the moments that really pull at us, Sarah. And we talked about this right at the top of the show when we talked about the Doctor and Donna's bond together. That's what this is tapping back into, isn't it? To get us invested, to get the casuals back there too. Remember these two characters. Remember how much you liked them. Remember how much they meant to one another. And that's captured perfectly, isn't it, in this exchange between the two of them, where the Doctor says, "I don't know if I can save your life this time."
It doesn't matter.
I'm not falling for it, Russell. I'm not. There is no way on God's green earth that he has brought Donna Noble back to kill her.
Because this is what people are feeling the most. Several comments in the live chat tonight on YouTube have been people saying he's going to kill her, he's going to do this, he's going to do that.
The fans would actually crucify him. They actually would. Unless, of course, this isn't a real version of Donna. It's an alternative version of Donna, and it's not. Donna Prime or whatever. No, I'm not going for it because this is just 2009, 2010 all over again when we got that trailer for the next Doctor, and then the end of time when there was that segment with Wilf. But I don't want you to die. And sometimes I think a Time Lord lives too long. And again, I'm not falling for any more emotional blackmail from our TV.
See, I'd forgotten all that. I'd forgotten that. These are moves absolutely out of the Russell T Davies playbook, Jack. Because back then, every single series, there was a really slick promotional campaign, wasn't there, with trailers that have stayed with people. And Sarah's quite right about all that, isn't she? They used to play they used to play tricks on us, didn't they? In our expectations, what we thought we were going to get, and play on those emotions and our connections to these characters.
Yeah, I mean, even with Series 4 itself, like before that aired, we had that brilliant campfire trailer, which really highlighted, the relationship between the Doctor and Donna and teased some of the monsters that were going to show up. And you see, that's the sort of trailers I'd like to see now leading to the 60th, because, we've seen a lot of footage now, and I'd like to see something a little bit more creative, so we can still get some content, but not necessarily, without trying to scrape the same shots and put them together and all that. I feel like that's something unique to Russell's era, which I think would work very well with the new era.
Problem being, says here in the live chat, no one dies in this show anymore. I blame Moffat for that. Stephen Moffat, he certainly couldn't kill off his regular characters and let them stay dead, could he, Sarah? And that did harm the show, didn't it, come to think of it?
Yeah, it did harm the show because you couldn't... It was just, going to pop back up again. You couldn't really get emotionally invested. And the worst offender was Clara. Because I really felt that, through Last Christmas and then Face the Raven and Heaven Sent, for it all to just be done away in the very next episode. I mean, you couldn't even leave it a series. That was very frustrating. But now Russell is a bit more, what's the word? I think he would do it if he could, but I can't see him doing it to Donna. I really can't.
Well, he already regrets the whole, taking her memories away, because of backlash there. So, and that's probably why he's back doing this now with them all again. So, just to try and mend wounds, sort of thing, and
Well, I suppose
I think you're right. I think sometimes, it's good to have people die and die for good. That means that there's a real, a real sort of thrill to the and possibility that that the stakes are high, and and that's the thing. If you've got high stakes, and it brings out the best in people.
The social media campaign is leaning into this hard as well. They know that was really effective, because that's been up on social media today as one of their memes there. Because again, why reopen this wound? Why risk undoing? See, I'm in a minority of people. I've been aware. I was very happy with the way that Donna was left in the original run. Yes, it was tragic, but I was happy. I was happy with that. Partly for some of the reasons that you're saying there, Matt. Because sometimes tragic things do happen, don't they, in real life, and bad things happen to good people, and things don't always work out the way that one would expect.
It's finite. It's a finality. It's there's no going back, and unfortunately, Doctor Who's broken the rules a few times in that regard, and I think that was crossing the line, to be honest. And we've already seen the ramifications to when he's crossed the line. So, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Hopefully RTD can, hold himself back. And I mean, there was that thing with the Doctor's daughter too, where she was supposed to die in that, and Stephen Moffat asked RTD to keep her alive, and he never ever used her. So there's one of those things where he can actually go, I regret doing that, or something like that. So hopefully, we can move forward with this now and stop looking back.
I think that's what most of us want, isn't it? And Matthew Pounder asks, will young viewers even know who Donna is? Well, people who are coming new to the show won't, unless they've been put in front of the show by their parents. But I suppose as long as the story is, I think that's probably why we're going to have some sort of recap. If the Doctor's explaining to Ruth Madeley's character, this happened, and we don't need some great big flashback sequence necessarily, do we, Sarah? For people to pick up the story, I think if it's got a sense of momentum, if Russell effectively puts these players back on the board, any children who are coming to this show should pick up on that pretty quickly, shouldn't they? Russell is effective and efficient at writing this stuff. He's good at writing adventure.
He is good, and he's also very good at character introductions. So I think it was pretty self-explanatory anyway. And also, there's other characters. I mean, a lot of the kids might identify with Rose, being the daughter. I don't think it'll be a problem, because I think he'll have, he's sensible. He'll have considered this in his writing.
We can hope. We can hope. There were several other things we get flashes of too. Last week we looked at the Who Spy photos, didn't we, on Type 40 Live, and we have worked out, we think, that John Logie Baird's study is one of the pictures. And here in what I think is the unit's HQ, we've got that image just behind the Doctor there of the puppet face from Logie Baird's original test transmission for television, haven't we? Now, some people in the live chat may know the name of the puppet. I know it's a well-known historical fact for people who are better read than I am, but that does seem to play into the idea that something about this is connecting right back to the invention of television itself, which I think is a nice touch. It depends on how it feeds back into Doctor Who, I suppose. We had the very first phone call, didn't we, back in... Which episode was that, the very first phone call? That was Father's Day, wasn't it?
Father's Day, yeah.
Yeah. This is the very first TV transmission. But the very last face that we see on the screen for this is that of the 15th Doctor in waiting. So we see Shooter Gatwa here as the Doctor with his eyes closed against that backdrop there, Jack. I've seen it. Now, we've seen one scene, haven't we? A very brief scene of Shooty's Doctor asking what the hell is going on here against a cloudy sky backdrop. Yeah. Russell T Davies did say, didn't he, that scene, that backdrop was created just for that trailer. They didn't want to show us the actual backdrop because it would give away a major plot point. And here, that's not that. You're right, that's not the same backdrop, is it? That does look a little bit like the one you were describing at the edge. This is what you meant, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And again, I could be, going down the wrong way here, with theorizing that it could be the edge. But I don't know. I think it would be nice to revisit that again because, people are wondering, are we going to be seeing other Doctors? And whilst I'm not too fussed, admittingly, if we do get any more, but I would love to at least see the classic ones again. And obviously my boy Matt Smith as well. I'd love to see him.
I'm going to probably say be really unpopular now. When I saw this, it took me out of it.
Yes.
No disrespect for Shooter, because it's been such a love letter to the RTD era, and you're getting all them feels again, and the right look and everything, and that bond, and then suddenly it was like I'd got whiplash, and I went, oh yeah, there's a new bit, and I'm wondering if I'm feeling that, and I'm a fan, what the hell are Joe Public going to think? Is it going to be confusing?
When this came up, I didn't care. I was like, I suddenly didn't care. I'd enjoyed the last 2 minutes, and then when this came up, it was like, oh, this is happening as well. And I was like, even though at the time I was looking forward to the future of Doctor Who, but I was like, can't you just focus on these specials? And have this as a bit of a surprise at the end of those episodes. But
if they did a next time trailer map for the other forthcoming episodes, I think that would have been a bit of fit. But I still think the average, viewer is going to be totally bamboozled. That David Tennant's back and Catherine Tate's back. Then who's this guy that we keep seeing?
Yeah.
So is this like if they'd have put out a trailer for the Day of the Doctor and included Peter Capaldi's Attack Eyebrows in the trailer for Day of the Doctor?
Yeah, because I think we'd know
right.
because already we'd had that it'd been announced as the Doctor, but the other people on the stream. I mean, when we talked in previous streams about how I think Shaw brought it up. Remind me, Shaw, in the chat, that some people just didn't realise that David Tennant was coming back. And again, it's because there's been such this big gap. I mean, we're all on top of the news and what's coming up, but other people aren't.
Yeah, and I want to just say that I am excited for Ncuti's Doctor. I am not. Again, I think I've said this about a dozen times. I've never seen this man act in anything. He's a total blank slate to me. No idea what to expect from him. I have this feeling in my water that they have cast the right man at the right time, but I do actually agree with you, Sarah, and I think there's a few people in the live chat saying, Michael has said, this spoilt it for me. I don't understand why it was included. And I agree. I think it does.
No, she's not alone at all. I mean, I felt exactly the same, Sarah. I felt exactly the same as you. I was just like, oh, that was a bit jarring,
Yeah. And actually, all I thought about was, Series 4 of Sex Education's on, and that's what I associate with Ncuti. So it's going to be. I just thought, it was maybe it just wasn't the right clip. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with that, but I just think that would be very jarring, as you say, Matt, and very confusing.
It could simply be the fact that obviously the Tennant stuff was filmed a year and a half ago, even though they've only just locked. The episode 1 has only just been finished. This stuff was filmed a long time ago. Russell, Badwolf, everybody there has been working with their new leading man since January, wasn't it, Jack, when they started filming Series 14?
Yeah, actually, I think it might have been December. I think they might have started.
Really?
Yeah, so it's been a long time. It'll be even longer till we see it on screen.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me personally, I didn't mind Ncuti being in the trailer, but I can see why to a lot of people it'll be like, wait, hang on a minute, why is he there? Because it's the same with the original one where you saw him in front of the blue background. Yeah, I guess it might have been done to be like, okay, you're going to be getting another Doctor in the special, but it's like context-wise, like, okay, but how is he involved? Because there's another Doctor running around. It's a bit.
It just felt like it'd just been plonked in as if to say, and don't forget about this person.
This guy. I mean, it could be the fact that he's more involved than we know, that the 15th Doctor does play an active role in these specials. We have people in the live chat suggesting this one as well, both Matthew Pounder and Adam here, Adam Charlton from the Geeks Handbag and the Big Blue Box podcast, both suggest that could be Gallifrey there. Behind the 15th Doctor.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, well, I'm very happy for Gallifrey to be back.
But back. If they're going to bring it back, leave it back.
Yeah, don't blow it up again.
That's the last thing we need. We've got Ada McGeer says, I refer to my earlier comment regarding the Edge. I wish people would drop it. Fans have taken to the Edge like they did with the Curator. Just leave it to being in one episode, please. I agree with you about the Curator. I wish Big Finish wouldn't revisit that either. I think that should have been just kept very special. And have fans taken to it? I don't know as they have. I think those fans have who are determined to hang on to that terrible era for all that it's worth. All 4 of them never stop banging on about what very tiny little bits of creativity Chris Chibnall did put into that. Have kind of latched onto the Edge.
Creativity.
In principle, I've got nothing against the idea, but if you carry everything over into other eras, then I Doctor Who's never done that before. It tends to move on and give us something else. It could be a means to an end. It could actually help us get out or help the series propel itself out of a difficult spot. And it is quite a handy way of revisiting earlier incarnations, isn't it, Jack? I mean, I wouldn't describe The Edge as an inspired creation.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's clear what that chimes back to. That's not necessarily original.
Yeah.
But
I think, that's where, why I decided to, bring it up. Because, I wasn't, a great fan of the previous era overall, but that previous special that we had, the moments I enjoyed was seeing old faces. And I think if we were to do it again, I would, I'd be impressed because, I love seeing those faces. But I think, doing it again literally just after the previous year, again, you do run into that, does it need to be done so soon?
It's heading into Cloisterbell territory where any time that they need to do something spiritual, go back to The Edge.
If you remember, though, I mean, how much... We don't know which parts RTD rewrote for the Power of the Doctor. Could it have been that it was an idea that Russell, if he didn't create it, if Chibnall did create it, but it was Russell that developed it, and he's going to use it as a, device? Who knows?
I think that's a good thing to point out as well, because Russell and his team did have some involvement with the Power of the Doctor, and more so with the ending. It would be nice to
they had final edit on it. It was completely taken out of Chris Chibnall's hands, allegedly.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think that would probably make sense.
Can't say how I know that. Allegedly.
Okay, I got you.
Aidan also suggests that he says, I'm not particularly fond of the fact people were more excited over a shot of Shooty than anything else in the trailer. That's not, if that's what you've seen, Aidan, then fair play. That's not what I've seen. In fact, I've seen polls run on Twitter where people were by far and away more excited over the presence of David Tennant than Shooty Gatwa by quite a long way. I think it's just the fact that the people who will be the ones that are sort of stamping their feet and shouting about it a little louder. That's it's not been my. What's been your experience with that, Sarah? Do you see what Aidan?
I saw that poll, and it was definitely David Tennant. The options were David Tennant, Catherine Tate, Unit, Toymaker, and even the Toymaker was quite low down. So, it's not. Yeah. Nobody's saying like
Tennant was at Tennant as 78%, wasn't he? Something like that. It was
Tennant was up there, and he is the draw. And we've always said, of course, he's going to be the draw. He's a bankable star. He's a loved doctor. He's a loved actor. He's got the appeal. And if you want to bring this show back, it's got to be done. That's no disrespect to Shooty or what, he's an upcoming star, and obviously he's already got his fans from Sex Education and the other things he's been in, but at the moment, he's still a relatively unknown, and that is just, unfortunately, Twitter, that is just the way it is. But you can shout all you want about it.
No, I completely agree. More comments about The Edge. I think that has captured people's imaginations.
It has.
Daniel Leach is on a bit of a downer. Jinx Monsoon's casting will strangle the life out. Jinx Monsoon isn't in these episodes. We've got to get ahead of ourselves. It's important to remember the here and now. We've got a lot of distance to cover between now and then.
Can you imagine if that had showed up during the trailer?
Well, I do understand that a lot of these choices are cause for concern for the future. We can't have The Edge without Adam or Bono. Reminds problem being. What else? Yes, here we are. Problem being's got the stats here. He did tell me I should have this. There was a poll saying 78% excitement was for Tennant, only 11% for Shooty, with 20,000 votes. And I don't think this is any bad reflection on Shooty. It's actually reasonable that people are more excited about what they're going to get in 3 weeks' time rather than what they're going to get in at Easter or April. That's how I view it, Sarah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's.
It doesn't have to be a tribalistic thing. It's the people who are, because there are people on Twitter, because Twitter is bonkers. We know it is. The most, there's some lovely people on Twitter. I met Jack on Twitter, but the fact is that there's a lot of really highly strung people over there, and it is very, very tribalistic. And so that's a lot of the reaction that you see to that. I think that poll is probably an accurate representation of where people are. And we have, what else have we got? The ledge upon which place is the edge, says Richard Brooks. He's talking in riddles. What's going on? What's going on here? Tell us more, Dan, says Michael. What about, Michael? What about? Keeper, yeah, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're talking about next and when we're talking about it, or hit the playlists for some of those discussions that we've had over the last couple of years when all that was going down. Yeah, so that was the Doctor Who, the trailer. At last, we got something substantial, everybody. I do feel very nourished by this. I feel well fed, Matt. That I've got what I've been waiting for months. We should have got this at Comic-Con. It has been too late.
Yeah. Yes, I exactly feel
never. I just hope Russell never does this to us again, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, when this finally came out, I mean, yes, it did have certain scenes that we'd seen previously before, but it was extra minute and a half of new footage, and some of the new footage that I saw actually excited me more. And so, but it did come a little bit late, and I just felt like, is there going to be another trailer after this? Is this it?
I would say there will be. I'd say.
Or are there just going to be little snippets of scenes or something shown for promotional purposes or something from now?
I think that the trailers will start to come a lot more now. I think we're going to see something new every couple of weeks. And I think the promo will start. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, the best the BBC themselves seem to have is the Graham Norton show, Jack, which I think has long passed its sell-by date, and the one showing things like that. But hopefully we'll get some really creative promotional stuff and one-off programming. That would be nice. And to see David Tennant, Catherine Tate on the promotional circuit, maybe with Neil Patrick Harris. That would be the ideal scenario, wouldn't it? That they're all out there on the red carpet, in effect, as well. Yeah, and I think as well, we've got events like Children in Need as well coming up, which maybe before or after the 60th, because we still don't have release dates, which is so annoying.
I know. I was so frustrated about it.
Because I loved the trailer. It was amazing. But you know what? It would have just been the cherry on top. Would have been release dates.
Actually, that would have been better than Shooty.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm okay with Shooty being there, but just having it right at the end, Doctor Who returns on TV and then lists the release dates. That would have been perfect. To get people aware, like it's back, it's coming.
Or at least the first one, so we know when the first one drops. It's not enough.
This is how we know. This is how we know, though, that there will be more trailers, because they are going to have to tell us when this is on.
Yeah,
they are, exactly. And I believe that they won't leave absolutely every surprise until the episodes actually air. I'm convinced they're going to show someone and something, a couple of surprises, and we're going to get a trailer which has even more of the plot in it. I think they'll continue to give us something for everyone, simply because that trailer, as we've said, was just so well put together. It's starting to feel like a real international show. Like they are, like it's not just all talk. Basically, that they have the ability, they have the resources, they have the talent, and they have the well of resources to rebuild Doctor Who as being fit for purpose for 2024 onwards in this streaming age. And that's what I'm picking up from it. And if we accept that, they should have given us more before, they have to make up for it now. This is just 8 weeks until we actually get to see it. So it's not going to be agonizing. But I'd love to know what you all think out there in social media land, in the comments section. Let us know what you think of our review of this.
Can I ask a question, a UK question? Is this being shown on the BBC, this trailer?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. In its entirety?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
There will probably be. They won't. Now, I don't watch the BBC. I haven't got a TV license, but I would imagine that what they will probably do is there will be the 2.5 minute version. It'll be unlikely that that's seen again, except maybe on something like a public holiday or in the middle of some sort of sporting fixture. But what there will be, there'll be repackaged versions of it. They'll probably edit some of it down into 2 1-minute ads or even a set of 30-second versions. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, that's what you normally see for, again, like, you know, the Marvel shows and stuff like that. You know, you
is
see
it?
like they're called TV spots,
Yes,
and
of
you just see
course.
them just randomly just blink and you'll miss it. And again, with
That's
those,
more an American thing generally, isn't it? From network TV there too.
yeah, true. But then again, with those, they have release dates on as well, so they might wait until they can finally
That
give us
would be
release
good.
dates.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to. I want to see indents. I want to see. I mean, there's so much you can play, especially if there is going to be this link to the first television broadcast. I want to see that puppet appear on on the BBC before. I want to see Neil Patrick Harris, peering, something. There's so much fun that like we used to get.
Yeah.
Because Russell was always good at the promotional stuff, and I still remember them, them Christmas indents where you'd got the TARDIS with the reindeer,
Oh, I love
and then
that
there'd
one.
be the Doctor digging, and then there'd just be a spade and his coat lid, and I've never forgotten them, and yeah, they could really have fun with this.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So, just a quick show of hands. Then, I mean, I thought this trailer, just like Lord Thotha said in the live chat, I thought this trailer was absolutely spectacular. It gave me everything that I wanted from the Doctor Who trailer, and maybe a couple of things that I could have lived without, but I'm certainly not going to resent. For example, the appearance of the 15th Doctor. I didn't need to be there, didn't spoil it for me, but that kind of thing. I thought it was paced brilliantly. I thought the way that it evoked a sense of adventure and a flavour of Doctor Who being back after such a long period of time. For me, it hit absolutely every mark. And I'm a big David Tennant fan. I'm a pretty big... I'm a Catherine Tate fan. I'm happy that she's back. Yeah. So for me, this is a massive success. I wouldn't say it was worth the wait. They should have given us a lot more, a lot sooner. But this, by any stretch of the imagination, was a fantastic world-class trailer that should get everybody's attention. What do you think, Sarah? In summary,
it didn't work for me, but no, it wasn't. It wasn't to my personal taste, but I understand the decisions and what it had to do, and I agree what was shown to cover that. But for me, the nostalgia worked because I loved that era and I loved David Tennant and Catherine Tate. For me, it felt like we'd gone back in time to that 2009 era, and it was just another special, albeit better looking, another of those specials. It didn't feel like a 60th anniversary trailer because it didn't feel like the Day of the Doctor trailer where we had all the doctors and all that.
And did you notice as well there was no graphic in there to say, there was no voiceover saying that it's Doctor Who's 60th anniversary?
Yeah,
it just said Doctor Who coming soon, because the general public, not only do they don't know, they don't care. The general public, no. Doctor Who fans, we're always celebrating something. It's always some anniversary or some birthday or something like that. So I think that could be why. I think that's a valid criticism.
So it worked for me. It worked for the public, and that's what it's designed to do. But it didn't work for me as a fan. Apart from the pulling the emotional moments and the Murray Gold stuff. But yeah, I sound right. I have to be the curmudgeon today because Ian's not here. You see, that's what it is. I've got to fill it in. But yeah, but I know I'm happy.
You haven't heard me yet.
I'm happy with what was shown. And if it does its job, and clearly it is, if it's racking up these views. So yeah, fantastic. But yeah, I'm more interested to see what's coming next, because I think these other trailers over the next 8 weeks are going to be, what I can sink my teeth into personally.
Go on then, Matt. So what's your take on this then?
Initially, the trailer left me cold. I didn't feel anything at all. Then I thought I'll just watch it again. And I started picking out little things. And then I watched it again, and I started picking out more things. and then I was like, actually, there's some things in here that interest me more. So I actually watched the whole trailer in slow motion. So it took like 10 minutes to go through it, and it actually I was intrigued. I became more intrigued, but like I said, those scenes with Neil Patrick Harris and that they just I'm really excited by this villain. It's something new which we haven't seen before, and you know I can't wait to see it. I can't wait for these three. I really can't. And so, you know, I'm like, oh man, I've got to keep Disney Plus. But other than that, you know, I was like, okay, well, you know, hopefully Disney will show them on the day of broadcast. So, yeah.
I understand how long it's taken you to get back to that place, to sort of open your heart to this show again. That's not overstating it, is it? You know, this show has hurt a lot of us in recent years and actively pushed a large proportion of us away, and that stings when you've loved something and invested in something both financially and emotionally for most of your life, never mind your adult life.
I was gone. I was not angry or anything like that at what the decisions that they made for the last era, but like initially, but I felt, you know, the show wasn't for me anymore, and I was more than happy to let whoever was in charge and whoever, you know, it was being made for to have it for a while. But then when they were handing it back, it was it had pee all over it. You know what I mean? It was just, it was like not how I gave it to them, you know? And so I was like, that's when I started to get a little bit more vocal, and I was like, you can't do this to my show, you know? I let you have it, and look what you've done. So, I've got the first I've got series. Is it series 11 of her? Is that her reign? Series 11.
That was the first one.
Yeah, that was her first series. I've got that on Blu-ray. I've never seen it. It's still in the shrink wrap, but I was willing to give it a chance if it all worked out, but it didn't, and so therefore I never came back. But this has me excited, and I used to love looking forward to these new Doctor Who's every week. It got me through my work week. It got me through everything just to at the end of the week, there it was, Doctor Who. And I'm hoping that it comes back with a vengeance.
Beautifully put, Matt. Mark Milford here says it was like the TOS Star Trek movies when they came out. I know what he's saying. In evoking, just as you said, Sarah, it evokes something that was popular 15 years ago and just takes it up several levels. The faces are familiar, a little bit craggier maybe. I think that's a really good way of parallel of bringing it. And Peter Harrington says, we just want the Doctor to entertain us. Pretty simple, really. I also like this one from Lord Thoth here in the live chat on YouTube too, who's been moderating for us, I know, this evening. Thank you again, Lord Thoth. There comes a point where we have a choice. We can hate Doctor Who, or we can try and forgive and move on and try and like this Who. So I know that Lord Thoth has also been on a bit of a journey with this show. So I know that to get to that place, it's quite something for you. So yeah, thanks for that comment, a fabulous one. And finally, Jack, where do you sit with this? I mean, you're wearing the Doctor's costume there. So I like I said before, I think
they were his pajamas.
If you didn't like this trailer, you would have burnt that in effigy, is what I'm thinking. So go tell us in summary, what did you think of this? Where are you now with these anniversary specials?
I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. And I don't know if it's just because, you know, I was a huge fan of the original run with David Tennant and Donna, but from what I've seen so far, I'm really looking forward to it. It's nice to finally be getting some material to look at and to speculate about how it all fits in. And I think after going through a period where I tried to like the show and tried to invest in it, and then, you know, kept on getting like pushed back because, you know, what I was getting wasn't for me, unfortunately. Whereas now I feel like for the first time in a while, I'm looking forward to not only the 60th, but for series 14 and beyond, because I feel like we're finally getting not only just episodes, but we're getting material to look at as well. You know, we're not going to be going through these gap years, and yeah, I'm just really
Russell
excited.
has promised no more gap years, isn't he?
Yeah. I hope he sticks to that. I really do.
I feel we are, and there could be things that are out of his control. I know that filming for Series 15, well, for the Christmas 2024 special, and then Series 15 was due to start at the middle of October. It's now been pushed to mid-November.
Yeah.
So, and that's for pure logistical production reasons, nothing scandalous or anything like that. So obviously, other things could intervene. But the idea is now that the machine is up and running, and that they're going to expand, if anything, and we can only wish them well, because obviously people are in different places with this. Mecha Rannan says many of those folks who left are never coming back. There will be some, of course there will be some. That's always the case. And Matthew Pounder says when an audience has gone, it doesn't tend to come back. You are right. If people get out of the habit of watching something, for the most part, they don't come back. But Doctor Who tends to be an exception to most rules when it comes to television. And I believe that's down to the fact that it can reinvent itself and pitch itself again to each successive generation. A great many people believed, as you did, before New Doctor Who was launched in 2004, 2005. The show was a joke. People had left it behind. The BBC had burnt their bridges with it, and it was never going to work. Here we are, nearly 20 years later. We could see it. We could see the miraculous happen again with all new Doctor Who. Obviously, that's not a promise. Results may vary. There are people who didn't come to the party in 2005, and that's fine too. They had their reasons, and there'll be plenty who don't come back this time. But generally speaking, I think we have every reason to be optimistic, despite the fact, and a couple of people have mentioned how adversarial Russell T Davies has been towards some mostly individuals and sections of people within the fandom and the TV viewing public and the British public recently, with statements he's made politically and ideologically. But again, that's not necessarily what we're here to talk about this evening. We're talking specifically about this trailer and our feels, I suppose. And I can certainly separate the art from the artist. I'm not sure if Russell T Davies can, but that's up to him.
That's a conversation for another time, I think.
It is. You know, I can, and so I'm happy to be wooed. I want them to give it their best. Crimpling doubloons here and saying that the stories that the trailers are suggesting do not get me excited. Another spaceship crash witnessed by the general public. It's the end of the world again. Should appeal to the public though, which is again, I understand completely where CD's coming from, but that last sentence, that's the crucial one. They've got 3 hours to remind the British public, never mind the international audience, why they love this show. Yeah. Just 3 hours. After that, if it works, Sarah, the sky, outer space, whatever you want to call it, the sky could be the limit for Doctor Who again, and they could do all manner of things, couldn't they, with the series itself and spin-offs and things like that. We can't run before we're walking, can we?
No, and you know, I'm hoping that there will be this momentum, and then run with it. Let's see what happens. And again, please, no more gap years. It's got to be consistent. If it's coming back, it's winning people back, which we hope it is. Be consistent with it, and let's get back into these habits.
TARDIS Dime's happy. The trailer looked fun, so I'm going to watch it cautiously. Lots more coming too, but I think that's where we have to leave it for this time. Keep those comments coming about the trailer. Let us know how many times you've watched it. I think I'm up to about 6 now, but in my defense, 3 of them were today, Jack, while I was preparing for this edition of Type 4.
He tells us out, Jack. He tells us out.
But we've had some great comments this evening, some fantastic theories as well, and we do love our kooky theories here at Type 40 Live. Quite a lot of times they're proven to be true. I mean, there's lots of things that happened in Doctor Who that I never thought they'd do, never mind pull off. And that's one of the things I enjoy the most.
And one thing before we go, could we just say Jack was right about the Meep being in the shed. There was an actual quote. There's a Martian in the shed. So well done, Jack.
He was. He's on a great hit rate so far. And keep those comments coming in the comments section as always. And where are we? Yeah, let's go.
You're watching Type 40.
Yeah, cheers, Doctor. Just one more thing. We can't possibly disappear without a pretty picture, I think, Sarah. And this one, I think, for the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, it sums it up quite nicely, because what we're witnessing at the moment, it's the final, I suppose, the final fence, really, the final destination of a journey that was started back at the beginning of lockdown, when Emily Cook from Doctor Who magazine birthed Doctor Who Lockdown, those watch-alongs that were based mostly on Twitter, weren't they, where Doctor Who fans from all over the world were encouraged to follow hashtags and to all watch the same episode of Doctor Who, of New Doctor Who specifically, on the same day, at the same time, and then to tweet about it as it was going on. They got the actors involved, didn't they, Jack? And the production personnel. Do you remember all that? It was a great time, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And as you know, especially in times where everything was a bit daunting, it was nice to show a bit more of a positive side, to the Doctor Who community. And it goes to show, not everyone has to be down each other's throats. And it was really lovely to see.
It really was a nice time to be a Doctor Who fan, when it wasn't necessarily the most, the best time to be a human being, a resident of planet Earth, because a lot of us were very worried about that. And Emily Cook, her idea was inspired, really. And I think the watch-alongs carried on for quite a long time. But she put this out on Twitter. This was earlier. This was on Saturday, sorry, just as the trailer was incoming. This is what she tweeted. It's one of those memes, how it started versus how it's going.
Yeah.
So that's her original tweet there for when David Tennant and Catherine Tate got involved with one of those Lockdown Who tweet-alongs there, and so did Graham Harper and Russell T Davies. They were talking about the Stolen Earth and Journey's End one Sunday evening. This is incoming subwave network. This is not a drill. And apparently, according to all accounts, that is where the seeds of this comeback were first sown. So obviously I'm very grateful to Russell T Davies, David Tennant, Catherine Tate for coming back. But I think we all owe Emily Cook another debt for making this possible, for putting all those people together, and hopefully for putting us on a course which will save Doctor Who. And we have this beautiful bit of key art there tied to these 60th anniversary specials. Again, no elements we haven't seen before there, Matt. It's the Doctor, it's Donna, it's the TARDIS and the logo, and that crackling energy. Actually, Jack, now I'm looking at that energy. That pattern, that energy signature that we couldn't make out what it was when we were going through the trailer, is that similar to what's behind the TARDIS there?
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, that's a good point, Dan. Yeah. Oh, maybe.
Interesting.
Oh no, I can feel another 3-hour show coming on. We'll have to leave it there. But yeah, I really love this, and it's
gorgeous. And it really harkens back to that first poster that came out with Chris Eccleston and Billy with the TARDIS behind it. Different coloured energy, but again, it's just it's a lovely callback, and I can't wait. And thank you, Emily. Yeah, who would have thought?
Fabulous stuff. Yeah, so this is probably just the first of a lot of promotional art that we're going to see over the next however long. I can't wait to see it roll out. We've got 8 weeks to wait until the anniversary stuff, until the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who. Of course, we'll be here every step of the way at Type 40 here on YouTube and Rumble and Facebook, out there in our Facebook group and everywhere else. Matt's there making hand signals at me.
Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we're going live.
Absolutely.
And also comment. Come on, where are the comments?
More comments to everybody. Yeah, there's the Doctor. It's been a long time since we last saw the proper Doctor, but he is back, and these specials are going to be with us in next to no time. We need your comments. We want your feelings as you work your way through it, whether you're really, really psyched or whether you're still a little bit trepidatious about what's to come. We understand there are no wrong opinions about this stuff. There's a home for any viewpoint here at Type 40. As always, so keep your comments coming in the comment section, and we'll get back to you.
That's not a very good photo of David.
It looks like he's come out of Trap 2 and he's left King Kong's finger in there.
Oh my God!
Not great. Not great, is it? Okay, again, thank you all for your company. Starry-eyed girl, Sarah Graham. They're back. I'm surprised it didn't work for you as it did for me. That did blindside me, but I'm glad you're on board. You still.
But I'll probably, you know what I'm like. I'm fickle. I'll have changed my mind in a week or so. But yeah, you want honesty, so that was my opinion.
Always honesty here at Type 40 Live, just because
and you're not on your
own.
Mm-hmm.
No, not alone at all, is she, Matt? I mean, again, I know that where you're coming from with this, it's a very particular place. So thank you for being so honest, as you always are, and being so up for it here. And Jack, back with us again from the Nerd Den. It's your third show in a week, mate. You're gonna be like one of the fixtures and fittings soon.
Well, you never know. You never know what's around the corner.
Well, I know that from the feedback that I've been getting, people love your contributions here. So you fitted in beautifully at Type 40 Live. So I'm happy for you to come and share your thoughts whenever you're able, and get in touch with us. Join us on social media too, just like everybody else does. There's our social media, Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who. There, as Missy is suggesting, she's a member. She's in there. She's saying something nice now and again, mostly not nice though. And you can find us in the Type 40 Facebook group, where there's regenerations worth upon regenerations worth of Doctor Who fans. Yeah, at the moment, chewing over that trailer and counting the weeks. Obviously, there are some people who are more on board than others. And again, we can't stress this enough. That's fine too. Type 40 Live, we're back again in a couple of days' time with more of our regular panelists back on the deck. Ian David Diaz, I think he's back from the States. He's been over in America, in New York, picking up an award, well, 2 awards for Rebecca Gold. So I dare say we're back to tell us a few tales about that and see who else we can wrangle in. So don't miss that. That's Thursday, 8 p.m. here. As always, Type 40 on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as the Spacebook, wheezing and groaning, ranting and raving about all things geeky inside and outside of the TARDIS, and really letting my Doctor Who colours, the flag, fly high over the next few weeks, really going with my geekiness and bringing you as much Type 40 Live as we can possibly throw together here for you as the weeks count down. We have overrun, everybody. We have overrun, but I think we got away with it. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
Come on.
I know. Again, I can't stress this enough. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. So many lurkers. I don't know what else you want from us. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, check you're still subscribed if you think you're subscribed, and hit the cluster bell to get the notifications about new podcasts and live streams coming on Type 40 and Type 40 Live. But that's it for this time. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. See you again in a couple of days.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Good night.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.